Man, just shut the f up, bro. Oh, sure. Off. Gamer subs.
Yourself.
I'm actually disabled. Every time I fart, I smell shit. What the f was that on her Twitter? What the f? Mod spam Mantis for 24 hours.
Ew!
Looks pretty decent.
What the fuck are you eating, you fatty?
Oh,
Dirty boy.
R-U-N. Shut the f up.
Well, I think you should just fucking kill yourself, Hooksnipper.
Yourself.
I'm gonna suck your James. What the actual sucky suck is?
What is that lava?
Can you please moan again,
I'm
please?
spending it on.
Ohio, skibbity riz.
Pussy tight, pussy clean, pussy fresh.
Eat my soundboard. I'll eat my soundboard.
Pussy tight, pussy clean, pussy fresh. Pussy fresh.
Yeah.
One time saw a penis and I enjoyed it.
That is the most truest thing you've ever said.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Have a good night, bro.
Okay, what the fuck was that? Did you shit yourself?
I wanna see the very slaves that no one ever earned.
What the fuck was that?
What are you doing knockoff exactly?
Pussy!
Holy fuck, Stewie, I'm shitting.
I prefer not to watch streamers who shit their pants.
Gonna need a sensu for that one.
Sung Wong Chong, Ching Wong Wong Jong Jung.
Shut up.
Haha. Yes, I am first. You all shall bow before my greatness.
I needed to pee for so long.
Then pee. Do it right now in my mouth.
Virus found. 10,000 porn videos found on user's computer. FBI will now investigate your computer. Virus found. Virus found.
Monkey boy peasant, get up and clean my chimney so you can get her weekly ration of bread.
What the fuck? Who did that?
Curious.
Hey chat, you reckon I should just drink that entire thing and just end my life? Hit 1 for yes. Oh, so cute. Aww. What a dumb piece of shit.
I'm jaking it.
Hey, how's your day today?
Change the bullet bit.
Oh, oh, that was sick. That was awesome. Holy shit.
Just up the road from Clan by the Push Winger to go get a congrats.
Is he racist? That's awesome. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're fucking dead. You're so dead. It's so weird. Why is that? I'm not gonna get first one. I love cock. Cock and badge. Why, James? Why? Oh, lovely. Ah! What'd you fucking say?
I'm having a hard time getting it in.
It's fine. I mean, this is your first time, isn't it?
See your autism struggling every time that comes up.
Yeah, I hate it. It fucking sucks. It looks fucking stupid.
Donkey Kong's vagina.
Racism.
He's Woolworths the fresh fruit autistic.
Okay, that was kind of funny. Hello, hello, hello. How are we, boys? I'm so apologize for the lack of communication when I'll be streaming stuff. I've been quite busy at work and been quite busy being socializing with the one and only Celestial Rogue. We had our lunch together. You saw the video, you saw the stream, you saw me crying while very drunk while talking to Rogue. We had an amazing day. That was very, very nice. Hopefully we're all well together, everybody. Hello, Inky. Hello, Violet. And whoever everybody else is in the chat right now, hope you're doing fantastic today. And yes, as some of you might know, we got a big storm today. It was in Brisbane, in my suburb. We lost power in my store. We had to use the fire exits because the wind was so strong at my area, it broke the ligament of the moving door entry thing, so it was broken, and we had water coming as well. It was crazy. Yeah, I got 11:30 minutes when your game's finished. Yeah, sure, okay, hang on, Russ. I got you, bro. I thought it does work. I'm so sorry. I don't know why it is not working. Hang on. I'll double check. Hang on a second. Yeah, I saw both you guys did as well. You guys been going well. I'm going to see why this is not working. Yeah, 2 Among Us. That is very true. Try that again. I'm going to try and use my Among Us here. See what happens. There we go. There we go. The Among Us are back. The Among Us are back. That's 1. And can I get a countdown for the next Among Us? 3, 2, 1. They all farted in my face, by the way, and they don't smell nice. This messaging frawnz, give me 1 second. Alrighty. Hopefully, we are all doing great today, everybody. Violet, Inky. Inky, I hope you're doing well, by the way, Inky. I feel that you might be having some issues going on with whatever's happening with your life. I do hope you get better with it, bro. I do hope you do, honestly, get better. And just let you know, you have friends around you who love you very, very much. And never forget that you are much loved by everybody more than you know. So keep it up. You got this. I believe you, bro. Hydrate, thank you. I'll definitely hydrate with my gamer subs. Also, love that they're yellow. Yeah, it's a race thing. I have to make it yellow, otherwise I get a lawsuit. Wait, what do you mean by... What? When you're moving up there? What do you mean, Violet? What the fuck? It's okay, I have 2 plushies, 2 cats, 13 billion playlists. The only 13 billion. I have 14 billion on my playlist. No, I'm kidding. That's wild. Oh, Transformers? I love Transformers. Yo, yeah, frawnz. What's your favorite Transformer?
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee? Mine's every Dinobot. A lot of Dinobots. Yeah. I thought so.
Dinosaurs or robot dinosaurs?
No, because of robot dinosaurs. You're going to be approaching me. That sounds like a threat. That sounds like a threat. I'm going to be approaching you. That's Violet Fries. Hello, Kayla. Hello, Kayla. It's very hard. It's very hard to fear you, Violet, because you're adorable. It's so hard to fear you. I can never see you any other way, bro. I can never see any other but not be threatening. I'll be real with you, bro. I'd be doing well, though.
Hello.
Hey, hello. Hey, hello. Hey, Rogue. You didn't.
Hello,
you didn't call me
everyone.
back. You didn't call me
Hi,
back.
everyone. Fuck me too.
You didn't.
Yeah, that was flat as I. No, I'm playing.
Well, how are we?
Hang on.
How's the last time we had experience with Sea of Thieves? We all were having a bit of a funny time. Rogue and I were plastered as fuck with alcohol, and Frawnz was dying.
Yes. Look, where'd your pirate thing go? Or is it because you're not doing a full Sea of Thieves stream?
Sorry, dude. If I knew it was gonna be collaboration, I would have kept the pirate thing stuff. If only I knew. If it was gonna be a continuation thing, I would have kept the pirate stuff. That's why I wear a wig. So, sorry, man.
You look like Tracer.
I'm already Tracer though. Hang on, I'll change my hats. I'll change my hat. To be more piratey. Sorry, Violet. It's
Why does
true,
it look
Violet.
I would believe that if I saw you out in public with that hair, like I'd believe you dyed your hair that. Can you like? I'd believe that.
Yeah.
What does Hook look like?
I look like a person that you should not be meeting in public.
He looks like a 40-year-old skater.
That's just you in general.
He like looks like a 40-year-old skater, but like more.
Everybody.
Skater.
Everybody.
Like, oh my god.
Everybody.
Blonde hair.
Inky has an important question. What is your question, Inky?
Okay, alright.
Ah! Hello. Hey, Rice. Autobots is Autobots all the way. Autobots all the way. Hey, N9Ns, go ga ga ga. Ricebin, is that your language right there? The only language we can understand? Goo goo gaga.
Why are you here, Charcoal?
Wait, Charcoal's here. What the fuck? For the penthouse is max 4 people. For the penthouse is max 4 people.
Oh, Charcoal better get caved.
What the hell?
It says it. What the fuck?
It does. What the hell?
was, bro.
Yeah, what? Don't be memeing Charcoal.
What moderate does this guy have?
Yeah, what the fuck? He's lying. He's lying. He's lying. He's lying. He doesn't.
Book, you were the one that
I know. I know he's lying. You got everything robbed from him. No, you didn't. Wait, what?
Laugh at me, Inky. Laugh at me, Inky. Inky's laughing at me.
No, he's an epic gamer.
Yeah,
I don't know what
it's because you're a funny guy. Keep laughing at him, Inky.
Thank you.
Actually, no, Inky, come to my stream because I'm streaming.
Rogue, you're live.
Rogue.
My webcam isn't working. Hang on.
Wait, Rogue, how long are you playing Sea of Thieves for?
A long time. I don't know.
Oh, blood.
For me, it can't be that late because I got work tomorrow morning. I need help at the store tomorrow morning because we had a bunch of shit happen at the store at that place.
Oh yeah, I'm just copying your whole fucking title.
Yeah, you can do that if you want to. I'm laughing at him because he is an Autobot supporter.
Why does my webcam
That's
not
hilarious.
work?
I mean, I like Autobots because they're friends with Dinobots. What the fuck is this?
Hello, chat.
Hello.
Sorry, I was getting my fucking... My webcam wasn't working, but it is now, so I'm here. I'm
I've
booting
been
up
heavily
CFD.
into crab champions.
Shit.
I was
Unmute the
drinking when I
stream.
played a couple of days ago. I had to lock in and carry
Who
because my
else is
friend
joining? What is
died,
going
and
on?
I didn't focus on much.
We could
vodka
only
I was
have 4
pouring.
people on the boat.
Being
I don't even know how I
three-quarters
got
of my
here.
cup.
I'm not even a mod. Hi, Chad.
Wait,
We summoned you.
Wait, no, I gotta show you something, Charcoal.
Everyone's here.
Everyone joined the penthouse.
Anyone
Lag it
who's
out.
streaming, do not watch what I'm about to show because it's like it's just what happened in the Overwatch game.
What?
But it's not like my fault.
Here.
Wait, Charcoal, are you watching?
Yeah, I'm watching, bro.
Which one is it?
Fucking
I think
lagging
it's
again,
this
bro.
one.
How many people
Wait,
showed up?
This is the funniest shit. Hold on.
I don't know.
Bro, me and these people
What the
all
fuck?
game are just chatting shit in anime voices. It was so funny. Wait.
Okay, you're standing up in shock that we're all here.
This is a penthouse for a reason.
Yeah, oh.
No, because
Wait.
the reason why that is because it just makes it less chaotic if it was
Oh my
a
god, I
certain
can't hear
amount.
anything.
Lol.
Whoa!
You can hear me instantly start playing off.
Yo, my stream isn't lagging. What the fuck? Okay, thank God.
Good job, good job.
Oh, bro, that's actually fucking golden. What the fuck?
Bro, me, you can't really hear my mic, but I was like hyping the guy up the whole time he was dancing.
Yeah.
And then that guy just turned around and said that out of nowhere.
See ya,
Alright.
Inky.
Okay.
Bye, Inky. Play that again. I wasn't even watching. I wasn't even watching.
Huh? Yeah, I was gonna say, I literally said it like 3 times. Anyone who's streaming, do not watch this.
Oh no, don't worry. I intentionally missed out on it.
You fucking asshole.
Yeah, it's 8.
So not watch it.
It is 8. It's literally 8 o'clock right now.
It's 8 right now. 8 o'clock right now.
Oh, my eye hurts. Wait.
Hello, Indeed. Hello, Seraph. Hello, Inky. Hello, me.
Hello, me.
Kayla.
I've
Yeah.
got 15 minutes.
That's not bad.
You're gonna have to wait. Oh, Buddy Bear.
You guys can watch like.
My phone's going off.
We are not watching.
Violet.
You know, we can just join a game and then invite you. I think, can't we?
I'm pretty sure I can.
Someone invite me, bro.
Doing it right now.
Gonna invite me, Hook.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. What's there keyboard binding on a computer?
Hey, Graham. Been a while. Gabe.
What?
You got one Frawnz 1 is going on.
My mate Gabe in the chat said, "If you see this, you're big sexy." Thanks, Gabe. You're big sexy.
We'd love that. We'd love that.
Shut up, Hook.
And there is.
What's your life or death question, Inky? What is your life or death question?
I got a feeling what it's gonna be.
Autobots or the Skepticons? Autobots,
Did you say
obviously.
Skepticons? Did you say Skepta?
I said Decepticons.
It sounds like you said Skepta. Sounds like you said Skepticons.
Because you're stupid.
Skepta.
Wait, how was everyone's Storm experience?
Holy fuck, it's raining sideways.
My earplugs are connected to my controller now.
Well,
so
yours
I
is
can
sideways. Mine is going
walk
up.
away and hear you.
Bro, I got hailed.
Up.
Stop scared the shit out of me.
I have the
Inky,
craziest videos.
You're a child. Okay, Soundwave is cool, yes, but Autobot Slam. My boy Ironhide, wreck all your ass. Iceon. Indeed, freaking out. Got mad hell. Yeah, it was crazy. I'm so glad I have a garage to park my car in.
It was a very wild storm.
Return of the Captain Morgan hat.
Oh, wow, let's go. I got my fisherman cap.
He got
that far. The wind fucking blew over the gazebo my car was parked under and scratched my car.
Oh shit!
How far north did it get? Jesus Christ!
Well, I'm in the Sunshine Coast, which is like an hour from Brisbane. It's like probably an hour 50 from where.
Inky is up in the Fraser Coast, and she said
that's like I think that's like half an hour up from me.
Are you
another hour?
Oh, hang on, chat. My sister's
maybe
recording.
2 hours. I forget. 2.5.
Hello.
I'm gonna send you another invite for Fawnz, by the way.
I'm loading you guys.
Okay, all good.
I think my game actually crashed or something.
Oh,
no.
Sea Thieves a big game.
It's a big game.
Are you joining or what? We need to fill up this galleon.
Ricebin's still downloading his game.
My
He's
shit's
still got
loading.
15 to 10 minutes left.
Hook's taking my Sea of Thieves because I'm lurking in Hook's stream.
Yeah.
Just leave the stream then. If it's
Of
gonna
course, that makes a lot
go
of
through
sense.
your internet, just leave the stream.
Hope it's not expensive to fix.
Wait, what?
You need to stop streaming.
Yeah, sure.
No time.
Damn, that's crazy. Hang on.
Should we all rate the charcoal? Should we all just rate off the charcoal? Should we just rate off the charcoal? Charcoal right now. If you go live right now on your Twitch, we'll all rate you.
Yeah,
all 6 of
bro.
us.
I don't even think my computer is built for that.
Why not?
What would he stream? What would he stream? Just him getting absolutely faded?
It can't, it's against TOS. It's against TOS. You can't do that.
Wait, Charcoal, who was your best viewer?
Oh, you.
Oh, shit.
How much money did he pay you to say that?
None. I actually gave you more money than I've ever given Charcoal.
I thank you for that, bro.
Bitch.
You are second place.
Hook's the one who gives me all my money.
money.
My damn headphones aren't working. Hang on, chat.
Can I get a refund?
I can't hear any of you.
My brother bought you them subs, so I wasn't.
God damn it.
My brother used my credit card on your sub. Can I get them more refunded back? How much would that be?
Yeah,
if I want to
like
refund you,
later.
31 gift the subs. What's a refund of value of that? How much money is that?
What is happening?
What is that?
The lag.
How much is for like one gift of subs? Like $8, isn't it?
Why is it every time I want to stream Sea of
8
Thieves,
divided by
everything goes
31.
fucking wrong?
Why, bro? What goes wrong?
I think it's like $12.50.
Fuck this pirate shit. It's taking too shit to load. I was watching the whole cutscene for some reason.
Oh my
I was
god.
watching the whole cutscene.
That's probably a problem.
Frawnz.
Yeah.
I may or may not get some like pretty good fucking
Is that
exotic shit. So if you wanna, you know, give it a little try, because it's like one cone and I'm done.
Get your friend in here. Oh god. Oh god. Is it a friend from school? Don't say it's a friend from school, Inky, because then that person also knows my dad. Chat, Inky, my dad is Inky's teacher. Oh.
What?
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 Inky goes to the same school I used to, and so my dad is one of her teachers.
Damn.
Small world, that's cool.
That's crazy.
We all had the exact same reply.
That's crazy. Shut the fuck up, all of you.
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Shut your bitch.
Gabe's been smoking B2B Billies. The fuck does that mean?
You know exactly what that
back
means,
to
bro.
back.
Hey,
Shut up,
Tetra,
Hook.
how are you? Tetra, how are you? You know their dad? Really? That's awesome, bro. You know Rogue's dad?
I know Rogue's dad.
Yeah, I know him too. We go way back. Rogue used to teach me in high school.
I'm glad none of you know my dad because he would be gravely disappointed in me.
In me? What I do?
Because he knows a bunch of losers,
Not
that's
you,
why.
I'm just talking about. All right, I'm just talking about Hook, pretty much.
Thank you for pretending to thank you for pretending I was in the group.
Hook is like 8 years older than me.
Oh my god. So Frawnz, have you fixed your proximity chat for your microphone after spending a bunch of money on Windows?
I have not spent any money on Windows, actually. I never said I would.
Ah.
Goddamn.
So we have no proximity chat at all in Sea of Thieves unless we go to Discord.
I said after I got a job and actually got paid for it.
Yeah.
I have a job, but I'm not getting paid for it.
You know you can.
Bro, what?
Windows.
Unpaid
I
labor type shit.
To shift.
How's your training
Oh, yeah,
so
guys,
far?
I hope you like my new profile picture made by Inky.
Oh yeah?
Inky does all my art.
Oh,
and that's
sick.
how it'll be.
Naked. I think I just saw this.
I just got 76,000 gold. Thank you, Sea of
You like
Thieves.
my outfit, right?
What's your outfit, bro?
What?
Hey,
Let's
reward. Yay, reward.
Let's get
What the
kitted
fuck
up,
is
guys.
this? Promotion?
Let's get kitted up. Gotta get that gay flag on.
Flame promotion.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
This is the shit, chat. This is the boat.
Flying
Oh, yeah.
surfaces, I don't
I-
know if I style.
I haven't played Rivals in so long. I don't really want to. I uninstalled it.
That's fair. I don't need title for fishing. Awesome. Claim promotion.
Holy shit, guys! I'm getting in the chest.
Cool. Awesome. I don't know what I just did.
What
That's
the
alright.
fuck are y'all doing?
I put a new anchor on it.
I'm a chest.
What the
Whoa,
fuck?
bro's playing Among Us. I can pick you up too. I can go back in now. I can pick you up, bro. I can pick you up, bro. If you go back to being a chest.
Hang on, I'll do barrel.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Where's
Fuck out of here.
Our quest table. Voyages. Are we doing it? Do you want to do a gold hoarder?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Let's
Why
do
not?
something big.
Let's do a big one.
I want to go on an adventure.
Like a treasure vault?
Wait. Everyone shut up for a second. My dad made a 6-7 joke in class. I don't want to be associated with him anymore.
That's kind of funny. Massive
Shut up,
respect.
Hook. You would find that funny, because you're an old man too.
Dude, I'm only 6'7", dude. What the fuck?
6-7.
6'7".
Holy cringe.
Do you want to do a
Like-
treasure vault? What are we doing?
Oh, yeah, we all said yes to Treasure Vault, bro. We all said yeah.
Raid
Okay.
voyage. One person said yes.
What?
What's a raid voyage?
Let's go into the big Alcatraz building.
It's like
No,
actual
we go to
pirates.
sunken treasury. We go to sunken like shit.
You just jam AI matches, shit's Gucci, true.
Alright, let's do some
Act like pirates. Yar har fiddle.
I was waiting for you,
Being
waiting
a
for you.
pirate is alright with me. Do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Either other.
Oh, we can't do. Oh, sail to location or dive to location. We have to
Yeah, for
dive
the,
to-
for the underwater stuff, you got to do that. Yeah.
How do we do
I heard Mr. Dash sung for like 8 minutes the other day.
Is our shit just on our Rogue's door?
Yeah,
Where are we going though?
We were going to the voyage
Vote
thing.
for the voyage.
Go voyage.
No, you're gonna vote for the voyage.
Yeah,
Vote for the voyage.
voyage.
Alright. Just let me make
Thank you
sure
for
we
fire
don't
in the
crash
hole.
real
Thank you
quick.
for fire in the hole.
You
Appreciate
can
it.
do it in turn and time.
You can, surely.
I think.
Wait, prawns?
No, I don't need to vote. It's already been voted for.
Fire in the
Prawns?
hole.
Well, how do we do it?
Prawns?
It didn't start to do it.
Fire in the hole.
Prawns.
Yeah.
Gabagoo.
Yeah.
Mute your Discord mic for a quick second.
Oh, for God's sake, not
Mute
again.
your Discord mic for a quick second. Hello?
What?
I can hear you through the game in the proximity chat.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, gotcha. Oh, we're going
John
underwater.
Paul dead in Vegas?
Oh,
There's no way.
What the fuck has happened?
You have to be kidding. There is no way.
We literally just crashed.
Also, welcome first time chatter rat in the hat 13.
Right in the hat.
Oh, we're drowning.
Oh no, we're drowning.
Rat in the hat.
Rat in the hat.
Yeah, there's a hat with rat in it.
We love
Inky, why the
that.
fuck did you pin that?
Rat hat.
What about the cat? Where's the cat in the hat?
Dude, that new movie
Eating
looks
a
pretty
rat.
wild.
Cat in the
Oh,
hat.
bro, it's
eating
actually a
rat.
peak movie. I
A
can't even
friend of
lie.
Inky, Dobbs. Dobbs, welcome to the chat.
Nothing will beat Mike Myers getting that.
We're sad.
Okay, watching that shit absolutely like fucking plastered.
Will be
is the
so
fucking
wild.
shit
Will be so
ever.
wild.
That's what we should do next time.
We're under the water.
Whoa.
Hello, somebody help me. I am under the water.
This
I
looks
am
pretty
under the water.
wild. Holy shit.
Please, somebody help me.
Yo,
We're back
we're
up.
here.
Alright.
Whee! Full
Where-
steam
Jones, that
ahead.
shit.
Wait,
Full
this is the
steam
place we need to
ahead.
go.
Full
Where are we
steam-
going?
Right here, right here.
Anchor.
Wanker.
I'm jumping. Jump in
Jump
the
to,
bucket.
jump
Right
to.
down.
Hang on.
I'm just guessing if this is a spot.
We're
that
just
we're
gonna do it
going,
anyway. We'll go there anyway.
Well, I think it is a normal spot because I've like done this before, but I didn't know it was an actual voyage.
Bro's
I just, like,
cheating.
stumbled upon it.
Bro's actually cheating.
What are you talking
I
about?
just like went for.
Are we just
Fire in the hole.
What the fuck?
are we just doing a mermaid treasure thing?
I think
Yeah.
so, but these are more
I
complicated,
said
more
that, and no one
advanced.
said
These are
anything.
pretty
I said
fun. Not gonna
yes.
lie.
I said yes.
I said no.
I don't give a fuck what you said. You're not even in.
I said.
Why not?
Whee! Oh, there we go.
Get the fuck
Bro,
in first.
A teacher bought an online newspaper to show his mugshot. Damn, how did motherfucker get a job?
Why is it so hard for me? Oh, there we go. That's better.
How do
Okay.
I do it again? I have to like shoot this red thing, don't I?
I'm not too sure, actually. I have no clue.
I think we have, no. I'm pretty sure we have to go down to the bottom.
Yeah, the
Frawnz.
very, very bottom. Because we work our way up. When we do these kind of things,
What if I
these
drown?
buildings here.
7 minutes.
What if I drown?
No, you have unlimited breathing
Yo,
in these quests.
Rat in the chat
Unlimited
said I'm
breathing.
chill. Fuck yeah. I'm glad I'm chill. I won't be for long. The stream will only get worse. Ain't that right, Hook?
Honestly,
You're chill like
if you
that.
associate with me, your peak autism will spike. I promise you.
I don't think that's how that works, but anyway.
It happened to
Moving
a lot
on.
of people around me, yeah.
Bro, I was already autistic before I met you.
Well,
There's no
get
way
ready
it
to
can
get
get
that
worse.
spiked, bro. You interacted with me a few times. Let it sink in.
Someone's knocking at my door.
But, bro, we heard that, bro. We heard that,
Hang
bro.
on, chat. Gotta pause the stream chat.
Wow, sister ruining the fucking
Useless.
stream.
Alright, what's up?
Absolutely useless. Guess what I got for snacky wackies? I got Sour Patch
Ooh.
Kids.
Oh, nice. Look.
Berries. What's up?
Wait, no, look.
Oh my god! Oh shit! Yeah, dude. I
Look,
was
it's
gonna-
on fire in the water.
What a fucking loser!
Look.
Oh,
nearly died.
oh yeah.
That was cool.
Oh, that's
Use
crazy.
this.
Yeah, almost. Mem twice became autism. donate to www.twitch.tv/HookSniffer. Dude, Hook, you better share those Sour Patch Kids. Bro, you can see them right here. Look at them. Look at them in chat. Hey, I give you one. Here you go, chat. Look. You want one? Eat. Wow, you missed. Yum, yum, yum. Bro's ignoring his chat and his friends over his fucking guest. Fucking rude.
Wait, you try and 360 him.
I think it'd be very hard to 360 in this game.
It kind of is. My senses really slow.
Yeah. We don't need those fancy pants aiming in these kind of games. We're pirates after all. Alright. Let's explore the barrels over here. Get some supplies, bro. What? Oh yeah, I'll catch you bullet. What the hell is this? Bone Caller? Dude, we got Bone Caller here.
Back.
Welcome back. Wait, Rogue, you want to see a new thing, bro, that I found?
What'd you do?
It's a really cool item. I'm not sure how new it is.
Sure, but banana. My inventory is full of food. What?
That's a new item.
I'm gonna kill you.
No. I'm being serious. It's an actual other item, though. I'll show you when we get upstairs. You should probably eat something, by the way. Oh, I remember this area. This area is cool.
I think I've done this one before.
Dude, we're all cheating. Can we like do something that we will have not done before, please?
Well, it won't take that long. Rouge, and yeah, this is just
Wait, Rogue.
No, you're supposed to bring it down. Can you not hook?
I don't know how to bring it down. I don't know if there's a different lever.
It's physics. We need people. We need different levers. Different people can join in right over here, where I am right here. I have to be over here.
Guys, oh fuck!
And I have to jump over here.
What the fuck?
Oh, Hook's done it. What the fuck?
I fell.
Yeah, I did it.
I fell.
I did it.
Bro's taking all the credit like Marvel Rivals. How about pulling levers? Am my game tweaking out?
What am I achieving here?
What about moving levers around?
You're turning this thing around.
Yeah, what about moving the levers around?
So you can jump this way.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I can't get up.
Is something happening?
There we go. It is. Everything's happening in the center. The fuck?
No. My game is tweaking.
Same. My game's tweaking as well, actually. I don't know what's going on. I had the exact same issue. Let's give a better computer than we do.
Right. Oh shit, what the fuck?
Jump. Jump. And jump again. There we go. Low
I don't know what I did.
I'm kidding.
No, hook.
Yeah, jump. Jump over here.
Wait, look at my stick, guys. Look at my stick. What does this big stick do?
Wouldn't you like to know? Yeah, right there. We have to jump over there. We have to follow the pathway, and whoever continues on the pathway gets to go continue on the pathway.
What the fuck?
No. Hook's being an idiot. You can do this solo.
No, you can't. It's impossible. We tried doing it with 2 people. Llama and I, we couldn't do it by ourselves. You have to have at least 3 to 4 people.
Yeah, that's because your IQ is negative, so it cancels out.
that llama.
I got a shiny thing. I got a shiny thing.
Brag about it.
Hook, your IQ is negative. It cancelled out llamas.
Ooh.
Where are we going exactly? Are we going upwards still?
Ah.
Hang on, what the wait. Huh.
What did that all actually do?
I mean,
really
did you get an email from Microsoft saying here's a $5 gift card?
Wedges with cheese pesto. Fuck yeah. I have
keep falling down.
Pasta salad for dinner, I think.
Pasta salad goes hard. What flavor though?
I don't know. It's a Caesar salad, pasta salad or something.
Caesar
apparently.
salad is the takeaway of salads.
I bought it from Woolies earlier. So.
Hey, my man. Garbage company.
Oh, well, I get discounts. So.
Oh yeah, true. Well, if you're down there again, Frawnz. What are you doing down there, bro?
Oh no, I fell.
Bro fell off.
Wait, no, we can
keep going up. You can keep going higher.
No. Oh, we need this one.
Yep.
Can we get much higher?
We need to get higher.
So high.
Whee!
So high.
Now what?
So high.
How did you just get up there?
Magic.
What the fuck?
Belt.
Can we get much higher, like fucking charcoal?
I can't see.
Why do you mean you can't see?
Fire patch is fucking me.
The fire patch? What's up? Oh!
Where did you just go?
Over here, over here. Wait, you know where I am? Frawnz.
Yeah, but how did you just get up there?
I think we all need to be...
We climbed.
Yeah, I think...
We don't need to do it together. You can literally do this by yourself.
Then tell Frawnz how to do it by himself then.
I'm just saying I don't know how to get up there. I don't know the requirements.
Thank you, bot.
Oh, did everything just move?
I think it did. I think we need to move the exact same time together for us to progress together.
No, we don't, Hook.
No, just everything.
I fell.
You move something into a place that you can get across.
I am.
What's bro yapping
I
about?
just didn't realize everything moved.
No. Hey. Yeah, Hook, get up here.
I'm over here.
Oh, fuck, I'm out of ammo.
Wait, I just loaded the anchor.
Ammo crate. There is an ammo
Oh,
crate.
shit. No, I just did it. I gotta raise it again. Hold on.
Oh, no. Bro's being racist.
I'm sniping these fools.
Bro's sniping against NPCs and thinking it's impressive. No way you fell. No.
Bruh.
Bro fell off.
Oh I can't see with this eye patch on, even though it's on my back.
Yo,
eye.
if there are any mods in my chat, can you please get rid of the fucking bot?
Bro, I got my mod already ready to be getting rid of stuff for me.
Bro, I don't have mods half the time, and it's mostly just inky.
I have like an automatic mod.
I have like...
You know,
I have like... Seraph and Snow are both mods, but they'll come in, send like 2 chats, and then just have me on in the background.
What do we go now?
Oh,
no, you went the wrong way. You went the wrong way.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Which way do I go? Up there.
At the turnstile, you gotta go up that way.
What?
So yeah, Frawnz, go back up there. At the spinny thing, like the anchor thing.
Oh, you almost fell. You almost fell. Bro's shooting us while trying to guide us. Bro's being fucking Captain Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh, I found a shortcut.
Yeah, it's not drunk enough.
Found a shortcut.
Wait. Are you a mod? Indeed. I feel like you should be a mod.
Bro's giving away all the mods.
Guys, give me a second. I'm modding Indeed.
Bro's focusing on his stream than his games. Fucking asshole.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, we have to go. Wait.
Indeed, you have been modded.
What? How do we...
Hang on, my fucking earplugs.
How do we get there? Oh, we need to go down now. Oh. I hear myself.
Let's see.
Right. Oh my god! Someone clip that. Someone clip that. Someone clip that on Frawnz stream.
Did bro fall?
Yeah, he fell off.
No. Wait, why is this door open? I just go up here.
Oh, I made a shortcut for you, Frawnz. We'll wait for Frawnz.
Alright. Come on, Frawnz, you can do it. Thank you indeed. Appreciate the speedy work. You got this, Frawnz.
Okay, I'm taking this eye patch off. I'm over that.
Bro,
oh my god,
bro's committed, bro.
I feel like I just fell life for the first time.
Indeed has.
Sorry.
Hang on, let's just
Oh, true.
It did work. It did work. You did ban them, indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
The rope's gonna block my way.
I'm not.
No, if you can go through ropes.
Why?
You don't need to jump.
You don't need to jump.
I know, but like I'm just like walking onto it. But I'm walking over it too much. I don't know how to do it properly.
Just look a bit more right when you try and jump onto. Oh fuck! I fell off too.
Look at the bottom now, and look who's at the top. This guy.
Shut up, Hook. Hook, you literally couldn't do this with the help of another person. All right.
Hey, good job, Frawnz.
Oh my god.
Let's go, Frawnz. Let's go.
No.
Wagwan, my brother.
Wagwan, me brother.
I love that. Charcoal gets triggered. It's like charcoal gets awakened. That was too funny. That was too funny. Did you shoot my fucking gender?
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. All right, get on the platform.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh fuck.
Where did he go? No way he fell. No way he fell.
It's still going.
It's still going.
It is.
It's a Phantom of the Opera.
It's supposed to keep going.
To where?
What he's like
It
to
spins
know.
around and you gotta jump off to get to a certain platform.
That's what I'm doing. This is so silly.
Wait, check under there.
Underwear? Ah!
Who ever got a wedgie in high school?
man, get
Just
ready to
me?
jump
Okay,
on.
just me? Okay.
Yep.
Wait, where did you jump to, Hook?
You have to jump to the other
there.
platform. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you almost missed that. You almost missed that, bro.
No. Wait, was this it?
No, not yet. Still going. Still going. Still going. There's an item over here we need to get, and there's another item as well.
My PC is on like PS4 right now.
Oh, this is really close. This is really close, boys. Yes.
Are you installing? Are you playing Sea of Thieves, Russ?
Yeah, he's part of it. He's part of it. Yeah, it's part of the stream.
Yeah, I know, but like, has he finally finished downloading it? Was my question.
Yes.
Is it really though? I'll invite you.
Yes.
My
Shut
crew.
It's good.
Other crews.
Bro should change his name from Hook to Hindrance. Am I right, chat?
Oh fuck, is this shit gonna move anymore?
What?
Wait, oh, what the fuck? Pardon.
Bro has text-to-speech on.
How we invite Ricebin?
Dude, aren't you the host? You invite him.
It's not giving me the option to invite Ricebin. Oh shit!
Do you have a friend? Are you friends with him on Xbox?
Yeah, I think we are.
What
yeah,
is that?
I play with Ricebin. Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's a
am.
skeleton.
Oh, we have company here, boys. Oh, watch out for that guy. He can one shot. He can one shot. He can one shot you. Be very careful of that creature.
West.
We should still be able to invite you regardless. Oh my god! Bro, we're everywhere right now.
It's not really a quest more than it telling you like a specific
Whoa.
way.
That wasn't that hard.
Bro, Frawnz almost died because of your arrogance, bro. You have to take responsibility for that.
Why is it recommended?
What are you talking about, bro?
Frawnz was about to die. He was red. He was almost gonna die. Whee! Ah! Ah! Haha! Oh, there's treasure chest, by the way. Oh, hello.
Where's an ammo crate? I need ammo.
It was back there. I was back there.
I'm out of ammo.
You guys okay?
What this window in this game? What the fuck?
What? It's full screen.
What's going on with chat?
Do you not play full screen
Yes.
games?
Oof.
Oh yeah, here it is. Oh guys, we have a trident.
Fuck yeah, man.
Big loot.
Oh, there's ammo crate right here. Ammo crate right here.
Yes, I found it, Hook. Hey, Hook.
Hey guys, ammo
Hook,
crate over here.
Hook, stand still.
Oh yeah, I could deflect it. Watch this, bro. Bro, nothing happened to me, bro. I literally was me Hawk from One Piece.
Bro, nothing happened.
Like Hawk Tour.
Yeah. What the fuck was that?
Bro, shut
yeah. One more time and I was gonna die. So we have to get more items here. I'm pretty sure there's another. There's another thing. It's another puzzle here. We have to elevate the water here.
Elevation.
You sure?
I recognize this area. I recognize it.
Oh, Siren Gem.
So we need to jump up to here, boys. Follow me, guys. Follow where I am. We have to keep going higher.
Why do you know how to do this?
Can we get much higher?
No, as high as charcoal.
Okay, you've already said that joke.
High, bro.
Bro's a fucking joke repeater. Shut up.
That's funny though, because it's true.
Matter of fact, which is weird.
Oh, charcoal. Have you had your prayers yet? Have you had your prayers yet?
Charcoal, I think you gotta go outside.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, boys. Keep going.
Just take me anyway.
You gotta keep going or you keep getting higher. Alright, we have to go outside in the water as well, but we're gonna explore a little bit to get some more treasure stuff.
Oh, is there not more loot? Why are we going out to find more treasure?
No, we can go higher. We can go higher. It's an option. It's an option. It's an option for us to go back to our ship and put some treasure away. There should be a teleportation item that can teleport our treasure back to the ship. I think.
Yeah, the statues.
Link my Xbox account to the Steam thing. Do I need to restart the game?
Not sure. Sounds like a rogue question. Oh, I see.
I'm gonna restart the game.
Let me make some.
No worries.
I think I think that's where you're supposed to be.
I think
it's still
Hook went
making
the right
noise for
way.
me.
I beg your pardon?
Where Hook jumped off was the right way, that way. The opposite of where I am. Wait, why am I
Bunnings
abandoning
Black
the
Friday
thing now?
sale. Bunnings Warehouse is a Black
I don't know
Friday
how- I
sale.
don't think I can get up there, can I?
I mean, maybe.
Black?
First thing you say, charcoal, never change. That's so funny.
Where's your coffee, sir?
I don't think I can actually do anything
Is
over
it
here.
black or is it white?
How the fuck?
Oh.
Are you sure? I don't think. Hang
I
on.
sold a $600 coffee machine today at work. It was pretty cool.
Boy, Hook Sniffer, spin that wheel thing.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Bless. Hit con. Don't fuck with my piracy, brother.
All right, we now
I'm becoming a real pirate here.
to jump here, and then we have to rotate again. It's a different leveling.
Give a shit about fucking pirates.
Ooh.
Oh. You want a coconut? You want a coconut?
Thanks.
You want a coconut? You want a
The coconut nut.
Thanks,
It's a giant nut. If you eat too much, you get very fat.
and very depressed.
What is this?
It's an option for us to go outside, but we don't have to go outside yet.
Are you all up here?
Yeah, we're here. Bro, you
God,
okay,
I just
Frawnz? You
fell so
okay?
far.
You okay? You okay, Frawnz?
It's a massive. I'm one of the bump ones.
Are you good, bro?
I was bumped away, bro. Oh my goodness.
It's on me. One of the wheels.
Yeah, sure. I'll move now.
Can you invite me? Like, oh my
Thank
god.
you.
Unstable connection. I got an unstable connection warning.
Wait, can you invite him? 3 Windows G.
Windows
Turning
G.
a little bit.
Scuttle ship. No.
Let me open the Xbox app and see if that.
Oh,
Other
my eye
cruise?
hurts.
I might have
Use
to
the
buy.
Xbox, man.
Sucks dick. No, this eye patch.
Oh, but yeah,
Take it off,
dude,
man.
the eye patch was really ruthless for me last week too when I was with Rogue and before.
I can
fuck,
barely
I'm
see
stuck.
shit too.
You can barely see as
I
is.
made it.
It's on my bad eye and I
No.
still can't see.
Wait, where's Hook?
No!
I'm up here. I'm waiting for you guys. You slow pokes.
Bro, I'm up here.
You fucking slow
Wait, I
pokes.
just fell all the way down again.
No
Oh,
way.
Hook's just fucking leaving us.
I'm
Frawnz,
waiting for you
get up
guys.
here.
I'm waiting for you guys.
Nah, bro, just
I'm
get- just
turning.
get
I'm
the
turning.
train.
I'm turning.
Hook, if you were a real one, you'd jump off right now.
I even spin around and everything. Oh, what the fuck is this? Oh, what the
Someone clip that, please.
What the fuck? There's a fucking monster here. There's a fucking monster here.
Someone clip that, please.
Bro. Oh, I got broken legs, guys. I got broken legs.
Nice.
Good, as you deserve.
Yeah, buddy. All right. You want to spin it or?
Wait, where are you guys?
Up in your eye section.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, you spin me right round, baby, right round.
Come on, get up here, Hook.
Yeah, with pleasure.
Or we'll leave you behind.
Like I was gonna do.
Stop.
Leave it. Frawnz, leave him.
I jumped down because of this, though.
Yeah, well, that's just because you're trash.
I'm just
Damn
exploring.
it. Damn, Frawnz, you got a nuts ass. You wanna go outside?
No, I'm waiting for this. Can't get on the fucking thing.
It should be okay now, right? Oh, yes! Just did it. Awesome.
Mungle.
I don't know where to stop, so you gotta tell me.
We can go this way. Oh, no, stop. Go this way. Stop. Wait, stop, you're going too far.
I'm not doing it. Hook.
Hook, you piece of shit.
What? What is it? Oh my god! I'm gonna die! I just died.
Yeah, you deserve it.
I jumped down because I was a real one.
Wait, you died?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I killed him.
Wait, if you come, show Bryce where to go and we'll meet at one of the wall barriers and we'll break the wall open.
Mm-hmm. Easy.
Alright, where's the... Hang on, turn the thing a bit more. Frawnz. Just a little bit more. Frawnz, just a little bit more.
Hello.
Just. Yeah. That's good. Stop. Hey.
Bro's aggressive. It's a video game, not that deep, bro.
Alright. Cool. Take me away.
Rice, are you on the ship with us? Oh, I'm inside the tower still. Guys, I'm here. Oh my god.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, Rice, can you like going down at the very bottom of like the purple light that's in front of the ship right now as we speak?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, that's what I'm calling. Maybe that's what.
Alright. Oh, there's some... Oh, wait, that's not... Where the fuck?
What?
Oh, that's Hook.
Okay.
Where the fuck do we go there?
Oh, we have to... Hang on. Go this way,
Hello?
I think. Yeah, it's like this.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get on this one.
Ah, massive brain.
Hello?
You're... And then I can do this.
Can I jump this? Can't jump this? I think I can I?
I'm collecting treasure.
Wait, no. Over here.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Charcoal. Fuck!
Shut the fuck up, Hook.
I fell down again.
Quick, get all the treasure.
Oh, there's so much treasure here.
Hey, good job, guys. Well done. The sunken shrine complete. Good job.
Take it to the mermaid statues.
I can't see this big fuck off things on my screen.
What do you mean? It's called a video game, Frawnz.
It's right underneath us, Frawnz.
Wait, can we like somehow drop it down there instead of like...
Yeah.
Oh wait, we can if we just drop it here.
I love how I became the most skilled player, and now I'm like the worst player right now.
Well, I don't think you ever were the most skilled player.
I was the highest before, and I became a real one.
A real one?
Yeah.
Hook.
Because I fell down.
Hook and real one in the same sentence. Only if it has the word not in there. Am I right, chat?
Oh, tomato! There's a pineapple here. I got a pineapple and tomato. Nice. Oh, banana.
Wait, put it in the chest. Put it in the chest. Okay.
No, it's okay. I fucked it off. Bitch ass fucking crit.
Can I do this
all the
again?
gold.
Yeah, I gotta be very careful with the gold. Yeah.
Palmy, yes, palmy is the correct term.
I do not like chicken
palmy, not
palmy.
palmer.
I do not like
You
it.
don't like chicken mommy.
I used to have a lot of it when I was growing up.
Chicken parmer.
Kill yourself.
I would like to find chicken parmer, sir.
Palmer.
Oh, okay.
Palmer.
Fuck out of here.
There you go.
Palmer with the honor. Jesus Christ.
Jesus
Can I
Christ.
get your finest partner?
Hang on.
Surely
put
if
them
I
in
go
the
there...
chest.
Hang on.
I am
Hang on. If I right to... Oh, there you guys are. I see you guys up here. Hello.
We're free to hook.
Hello.
There's no more loot.
Hello.
Is that everything?
It should be. There should be another chest around the area,
Wait,
but
that's
it
how many
depends.
sticks of-
Let's see it
There was
again.
more. Actually, no, that might be it.
Hey, roughly it should be it.
I think we
Yeah.
did it.
Ah, let's not eat that. Ah. the fuck?
Me the loot.
Potato scallop.
Scallops are great. Love
Yeah.
scallops.
Potato scallop. No, not scallops. Potato scallop.
Oh yeah, I love scallops. Yeah, Mama Hook and I used to love having potato scallops. They're very nice.
Used to.
Yeah.
Before the infection hit.
Oh no,
Before
before
the virus.
Before Mama Hook got a spinal surgery.
What? She can't eat scallops because of her spinal
Allergic
surgery?
reaction with the drugs that she's on right now to ease her pain.
Before the famine.
Fuck! Why is it real?
What did you do?
Okay. Yeah, it is fucking real. Yeah, it just sucks, Mama
Wait, can I
Hook.
get it?
Oh, fuck.
Hey.
Ow!
There you go.
I just snapped my ankles.
Oh, congratulations, bro. Is it a girl or a boy?
Hey, with you. Dive in.
I stuck my ankles as a girl or a boy.
Being underneath the pillow while it's moving is cooked.
What? What are you, bro,
Yeah,
reading?
I I can't stand under it while it's moving.
What is
Time
bro
fist-
yapping
stop
about?
Oh, shit.
Oh, shut up, bro.
What the fuck's happening?
Alright, guys, we're just gonna head out for a bit, okay?
See you guys. Have a good one.
We're gonna spin back after we hit those few voyages.
Hang on, I need to get out of here. Where the fuck is the...
How do I get out of here?
It's over to here.
Oh, hello. Oh, it's moving.
It's not this way.
Thank you. Thank you for that, bro.
Hang on.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck, my fault.
Hello?
I'm gonna find a mermaid statue.
I'm scared.
You should be.
Hey, return the ship or collect treasure. Oh, that's fucking cool.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Gold.
Oh. Hey. Oh, what the fuck is this? Oh, there's more gold over here, guys. You guys missed out on gold.
Oh, finally, mermaid statue. Take me back to my ship.
Mermaid Mad and Barnacle Boy.
Mermaid Mad and Barnacle Boy.
Evil.
How evil.
Evil.
2 M's for Megamind. I'm Megaminding it. I'm Megaminding it.
Interrupting your class. How evil.
How bad was the sequel
Speaking
to
loudly in a
Megamind?
library.
How evil.
Bro, I love
Yo, someone get the loot.
What?
Give me the loot.
Rice, activate the mermaid so we can get our loot.
Activate it.
Getting it, man. Just
Tree
chill
powers. Activate.
Hey, turn around.
Bro's
Get off of
tweaking
my
it right
boy.
now. It's okay, just numbers and
Hey, for the
zeros.
hills, boy. Go swimming.
Hey guys, I'm here.
You got your shit sorted.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Fuck you mean go swimming, boy. Pick up the harpoon gun, G.
Yeah, swim like the peasant I am.
Yeah, that's right. Dude. Oh, what the fuck?
Just run and just shot at you.
Oh, what the fuck was that? Holy shit, the fuck? Whoa, there's getting fire, there's gunfire, there's gunfire, there's gunfire, there's gunfire, there's gunfire. Bro prioritized the treasure instead of frawnz. You're a piece of shit. You really are a captain, aren't you?
Bro, you're the captain.
No.
I mean, you're just gonna like be able to grab the check straight out of my hand.
You can do that. You can do that.
Would be
It's
funny.
so funny. It's so funny doing that. Oh,
Help
hello.
me.
Well, we're ready to go, aren't we? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Help me.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, that's everything.
Help me.
Bro needs some help.
Help.
Help me.
Help me.
I saw that rise.
Good
I saw
labor,
that.
man.
I saw
Where's
that.
the map?
Alright, let's get back. We have a lot of treasure on us. We should probably sell everything right now.
No, we should go to another voyage.
No, that's being
No, let's do
greedy.
it.
It's
Hang on.
open. It's open servers.
And I do not care. We are 4 men and we are ready to fight.
We could get annihilated by one guy because it happened before.
Are you ready for a treasure vault?
I would rather us. We should go straight ahead.
Yeah, let's do a treasure vault chat.
Straight ahead, guys. Straight ahead. There's a
Treasure
guy
vault.
over front.
Do you want to do a burning one or a normal one?
I want to vote for the biggest demographic.
An ashen one or a normal one?
Ashen one's gonna get a bit more gold.
What if you pick the one? What if you pick the one? Right, pick the quest. Pick the voyage.
Because you're the captain,
Are we
Rogue.
hiding our plunders?
What are we doing?
Why the captain? Why is this cunt just sitting in the seat like he owns it?
Because he is. My god, Ricebin looks more like the captain, to be honest.
Man, fuck.
Excuse me?
That's not bad. I'm out of the
He's so mad, he's getting his bird.
Do you want a bird or a monkey?
What are you doing?
Monkey, please.
I'm very confused.
I would rather us sell our treasure now because otherwise we'll be too greedy.
Rogue, pick a voyage for us today.
Yeah,
There you
Rogue.
go.
Because I didn't know if you wanted to do an ashen.
Ricebin left the party.
Bro, where did Rice go?
Stopped working for a second.
Gilbury.
Gilbert Godfrey.
My internet just stopped working.
Are we just spinning in circles? Where are we going?
I think we are, actually.
I'm coming back. I'm coming.
Oh, hi, Kayla.
I'm coming. Oh, hi, Kayla.
What the fuck?
The timing is really bad. I'm sorry.
This guy's got to mute up, talk to chat.
Bro,
I have to.
the sunset.
My one viewer.
I can't see shit.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I got it.
Voyage on bitches.
I just said Life of Destiny 2.
Guys, go vote for the fucking voyage.
Please.
And put the sails up. I can't see shit. How am I supposed to fucking steer if I can't see in front of me?
Not that
Wait,
attitude.
why didn't my quest work?
Because we didn't vote for it.
Oh, there's 2 quests.
Yeah.
Oh.
That one, done, easy. I would rather us sail the ones we have in front of us so we can not lose all of our treasure in one hit.
Fucking pussy.
I've learned that the hard way.
We
My
gotta
little
gamble,
brothers
we
and I
gotta-
did 3 quests in a
No,
row,
no,
a bunch
listen,
of treasure, and
yeah.
we lost it all.
Bro, I have spent like 4 hours straight getting loot.
My little
getting
brothers and
shit.
I spent
It's just, I don't
33
wanna
business days playing this game, and we lost everything.
My bad.
Yeah. That's just because you suck, Hook.
No, I had experience with my 2 little brothers, and they're really good this game, and we got fucked
Wait, is
over
it
by
this-
players.
It's this one. It's this one. Raise the sails, I think.
Raise the sails.
Is it?
I don't know. Let's
Yeah,
find
it is,
out.
It is.
It is this one.
It is.
Drop the anchor.
No, raise the sails and turn. Okay, I'll just. You know, the more we do that, it's gonna break our sails.
They break? Hello.
Yeah.
That's not how they break.
That's not how it works,
Yes,
bro.
it is.
No, it's not. Bro, play this game for
Repetitively, is it
3
not?
days straight.
They break from being shot at by cannons.
Bro, I've been playing
No,
this
but I've
3 grades.
literally never been shot at, but done that multiple times, and then all of a sudden they're like cracked.
It depends on the
full
circumstances.
I think it's skill issue, bud.
Well,
Bro got
look at this
ratioed.
fucking it's a
What is
skill
Hook
issue.
doing, bro?
Look at our anchor con. Look how far away we are from this island.
That wasn't me.
I'm just
I
over
didn't-
here.
I didn't put the anchor
I'm
down.
just chilling.
Guys, Rice is just fucking drinking his heart out.
Dude, somebody just slow down the sail as far away as possible. Who did that? That's too far away.
Hook. Shut up.
I've been over here. What the fuck? Found
This bandana's
painting.
making my forehead itchy.
I found a bandana.
Oh, good heavens.
I found a bandana.
A bandana.
Yeah.
Is that a picture?
Yeah.
A what?
Yeah.
Oh, there's hella loot here besides
Oh,
just the map piece.
It
I'm
might be
getting the
from
map
other
piece
players. Be careful. It might be baits from other people.
No,
This is open
it's
servers.
just loot that automatically comes up. What do you convey?
Sometimes
What are you
people
talking about?
actually. Sometimes people can
It's
leave
fucking-
loot. It's pretty
No,
scubby.
this is the shit. This is the new bandit. Bandit loot.
Smugglers.
Smuggler's Tavern. Yeah.
Because I got a whole mermaid skull on the ground, and there's other loot there.
How come it's not
Bitch ass
working?
snake. I just insta killed it. Bitch ass snake. Insta kill.
What the fuck?
Who's next?
I got picture though. I should block it.
Wait, where do we need to go for you to be able to hook us? Or hook the loot?
Yeah, hook the hoot. Yeah, hook the hoot.
Hang on. No, more left, more left. No, sorry, my left. Turn around, Hook.
Oh yeah.
I'm fucking stuck here.
Oh, almost there. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, thank you. Now I can go.
There we go.
Hee, I'm free. I'm free from being fat. Looks at belly.
Is that close enough? I was trying to get you to pull the skull and not me. But
Yeah, sorry,
Okay,
you got
buddy.
in front of it.
Bro's throwing our game. Do you mind?
Just raise the sails, but fucking raise
Whoa,
the sails. Or drop the sails.
whoa.
No, raise the sails and raise the anchor, and then
I'm
just
raising the
drift
anchor.
and then we'll be able to like dip after we get the rest of the loot. Wait, Hook, come here. Help me with my loot.
I'm exploring.
Rice, can you help me lift the anchor, please?
I'll think about it.
He'll think about it.
Is there anything up here, the very top here I can collect? There's no loot up here, the very top here. Fuck it, I'm gonna help Fawnz out.
All right, we're just
Where's
gonna be spinning in circles. All right.
That's funny
Whoa,
though.
I'm pretty much there. Harpoon me. Harpoon me. Harpoon me.
Oh,
Thanks.
cool.
Got you, bro.
I got goodies.
Whoa.
Did we get all the treasure there? Was there like not a lot?
I'm gonna check the tower.
No.
I'm gonna check
There
the
were
tower.
two things: a siren skull and like the thing.
The Among Us skull as well.
We have to do a full 180 and head. What's that? Gotta head northwest.
Northeast?
Are we just gonna leave Hook?
I can get Mermaid, it's fine. I'm just checking out the tower here and I'll head back over. There's a way to
Yeah,
open up this this gate
drop
here.
the sails.
Raise lens, raise torchlight. What the fuck? Oh, ooh.
I'm gonna need y'all to call out if I'm gonna hit something because I cannot see in front of me.
Oh shit,
You guys can.
guys! I'm doing something crazy here. Open the doors.
Good luck. Good luck. We'll see you on the other side.
Whoa, guys! I found a whole tavern down here. Holy shit!
It might be a abandoned tavern.
Let's find out. I'm gonna explore it. I've never been here before, actually. In my 33 years playing this game, I've never had this before. The fuck?
33 years of playing this game.
Yeah, makes sense.
Whoa! Oh, it keeps going. Holy shit, guys!
How much are we turning? I'm trying to keep our shit in line with the wind.
That's 6-7 degrees.
It was a big turn. And even now, we're still not in the right direction. We got to keep turning.
Bro's being a lousy captain right now.
Bro, you're not even on the fucking ship.
You guys
You're the
left
captain.
me. I'm not left yet, bro.
Yeah, because you're a lousy captain. Oh wait, there's. I
I'm
see
a
the
fence
island. I see
sitter.
the island.
I'm sorry, I'm a fence sitter. I can't help it. What is happening? Where am I? Hello?
See the island.
Oh, darn.
Potato bake is fire. I agree.
Guys, look at my stream.
I've actually never had a good potato bake.
I have found the Aztec level.
The fucking what?
What the fuck are you talking about?
I found...
He actually has.
What the fuck? Guys, I might need some assistance, eh?
We're gone, bro.
Well,
we're on the actual. We're doing the actual quest.
But this is quest right here, though. Oh
This is the
my
island. This is the island.
god.
Yeah, but we're doing the actual quest.
This looks like I'm doing a quest here too.
Yeah, but
where am I? This is scary. Whoa. What am I to do here? Thank you, Ricebin.
Yeah, thanks for the shout, the call out, Rice.
Raise.
Very good.
This is scary.
It's like it.
All right, you'll get the shit. I'm gonna raise all the sails so that when we go to leave, we won't go forwards. We'll just turn.
Oh shit! What the fuck? I'm raising. Whoa! What the fuck is this? Oh.
Drinking a big pot, man.
I have no clue what I'm doing here.
Well, then figure it out.
I'm trying, eh? Bird, lion, spider. Oh. Do I have to knock these over? I guess not.
You can't see shit when it's nighttime in this game. Oh my god.
Hey!
Yeah,
good
for
job.
real.
Good job, Fawnz. What am I meant to be hitting?
Oh, there's one more skeleton.
Hang on, I'm coming.
Wait.
You know, the skeletons with guns drop ammo.
They do, yes. That's
I
confirmed.
don't think there was a skeleton with a gun. Oh, there's an ammo crater. No.
Oh. Ooh, aren't
Don't
you
worry,
big?
Frawnz, I'll protect you.
Oh, thank you.
Fuck this pig.
Oh,
Fuck that
TNT.
pig.
Oh, you actually can't kill. Oops. Now I feel bad.
There's another one.
I killed the pig, chat.
I have no clue what's happening right now.
Yeah, that's pretty standard, isn't it?
Very,
Oh,
actually.
thank you.
Come here, big. Oh shit. Pig. 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 Come
So,
on, the pig.
let's just discuss.
Like, did I just kill the pig?
I don't think you can harpoon the pig.
I
Not
think
that
I killed
attitude.
the pig with the harpoon.
Great adventure.
Yeah.
A
Hang on.
fathery owl. This one is sadly away wisdom.
Do you have puke in a fucking bucket?
Where is water?
Are you sure?
It gives you good substance.
That look particularly green.
The island we gotta go to is in sight, guys.
Plus.
Hmm.
Come here, I'll show you.
Oh god. Oh, get the fuck away from me.
Ah.
It's water, man.
Guys, the island we gotta go to is from the north of it. Can you not throw puke around on the deck, please?
I can't see. I'm blinded. Oh fuck.
Jesus Christ.
I'm back. I'm back from the
What
dead.
is happening?
Fuck.
Jesus
I got
Christ.
infected.
You keep turning.
Huh.
Alright, drop these sails, let's get forwards.
I have not played this game in like 2 years.
Yeah, it's obvious.
Fucking useless.
Whoa! I'm moving to constellations.
Okay,
I'm
no,
being
sabotaging machine.
Moon Knight. I am literally being Moon Knight right now.
What is Hook doing, bro?
I'm being Moon Knight.
He's playing fucking Minecraft for playing CFP. Fuck.
Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, we're headed to this island dead ahead.
I bet. I'm stuck up.
We're headed to this island, Rice. Alright, let me hit that shit real quick. And shit. That's right there.
Hmm.
Damn, it's a big island. Alright.
Let's play this one.
Wait.
What are you doing, bro?
Huh.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
This might get me a lot of treasure, so if you guys finish your quest and come up to me afterwards, we can get double the treasure.
Yay!
I don't believe that at all. I'm
This
gonna be honest with you.
looks like a place you can get treasure.
Yeah, bro, try your best. We'll see. Fuck it.
Alright.
I believe in you.
Island off the port bow. I think that's the port bow. Or it's the starboard bow.
Sarnia Valley.
Is the bow the bow is the front? Which side is left and right, chat? Does anyone know boat words?
Left and right.
Put your hands up.
Oh, yo, guys, we can get a rowboat. There's a rowboat there.
Roboto.
Roboto.
Yato.
And left ball. Actually, no.
Konnichiwa.
I'm dropping anchor now.
This is not working out for me.
What?
Oh, there's barrels in the water straight ahead of us,
Hmm.
Hang on. I'm coming, Rice.
You're what?
What am I meant to do here?
Hi, Rice.
He launched. Wait, once you get that, go.
Oh, for God's sake.
I
Fucking...
barrels.
My earplugs.
Hmm.
Hang on, this way.
I'm gonna stay on the island.
Where's echoing?
Wait, why don't we keep the rowboat here while we look for treasure on the island?
Yeah, we could do that, I guess, if you wanted to.
Well, no, put the rowboat on and then drift forward because there's barrels.
Hey, good job, Fawnz.
Ahead.
I suppose.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for 3,000 gold.
I'm coming.
Oh shit! What is that?
Oh shit! Did I just?
A whole bunch of loot.
Wait. Oh my god.
For God's sake, hang on, guys. Hang on.
Hang on. It's not me, are you?
The consolation.
Chat.
Who's echoing?
What happened?
Because my fucking earplugs keep disconnecting. Hang on.
That's so funny.
Shut up.
I have now 100%ed Spider-Man Remastered within the time span of less than 24 hours.
Good job, bro.
Let's go.
Oh, not fully 100% because I still got fucking gadgets, but I don't care about the fucking gadgets.
Oh, there's loot over here.
Bro, gadgets are peak.
I know, they're really good, but I've already like done every single fucking possible mission, and I've already cleared out every single fucking district. And now I'm running around the city naked.
Where does the rowboat attach?
The back.
Is it the back?
Yeah.
It is.
Wait, Rogue, once you do that, raise the anchor and everything, and then go and get the barrels and stuff in the water, and then I'm gonna put loot on the tip of this island, and then we can
okay.
on the way.
Thank you for the hydrate, Scythe. Unfortunately, I don't have anything on me right now. I'm going to the back, goddammit.
What a rip-off.
Rice, come over here.
I'm coming, bro.
I'm trying to look for a tiger, I think.
Here you go. Does that push you? What the fuck? Oh, I didn't know what to damage.
We're fucking playing Brodog.
My man.
Where is the area with which I need to be to dock the, I'm at the back and it appears for a millisecond. Alright?
You have to wind up properly.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You're not trying hard enough, brother.
I will find you.
I'll fucking go do that shit myself.
I'm going to the backside. I'm going to the fucking back.
Discovered.
Right?
Good job, Ricebin.
You have to be like sideways, and then you have to kind of like look up and hold R.
Oh shit.
There we go. I got it. All right. Shut up. That was harder than it needed to be. Where the fuck is the door?
Where did you go? Did you get the fucking bottles I was telling you to get? No, you didn't. What are you emoting? What you fucking useless, man? I tell you to do one thing, and I come back and you're just doing this. We're friends.
I don't have to be there. I understand what the situation is. I think I have to be there.
Hang on, chat. I'll get your hydrate sorted, Scythe. Just give me a second.
What the fuck is going on the left side of the boat? Or the right side?
Ricebin left, bro. Ricebin had enough.
Oh, what why is the rowboat just drifting on its tip?
Because why not?
I be drifted on my tip sometimes too. No, I'm saying, chat.
It's just like...
If you don't
okay, buddy.
Shut
up.
Ricebin, join the crew.
Ricebin, come look at this fucking robot, man.
Oh.
Just keep leaving.
Boy, bro.
I don't know if it's... Bro, do you see this, or is it just me?
I think it's just you.
Look at my stream chart.
Is anybody good with constellations?
Let me quickly just save, chat.
Oh, what's it doing, bro?
I don't know.
What if you can get in like that?
Oh, be careful, Rogue, when getting the thing, because there's 2 explosive barrels.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm gonna go explore this ghost rowboat that's probably drifting further than I can swim.
Bro. Oh my god, this fucking...
It's just floating. Straight floating now.
Unstable connection.
It's getting higher.
Can we get much higher?
It's floating. Oh, despawn, no. Fuck.
Quest received.
I'm still drifting, for the record.
You're drifting because one of the sails are up. Drop the anchor. Actually, don't. Just raise the sail and then maybe turn around.
Now let's leave Hook again. Oh no, that's not Hook.
There's
that's
loot
a skeleton.
On the island. Wait, did you get
I see
all
it. I got all the normal loot. I didn't get all the barrels though.
What am I watching, Fawnz?
No, it's too late now. There was a fucking floating rowboat.
You need to get off friend.
Someone clip it, bro.
It's just flying.
Yours?
Oh, I need to at least get the skull.
Thank you.
Oh, my forehead's itchy. Stop trying to get a skeleton. You didn't get any of the loot. You didn't touch any of the loot. Get this loot, Ricebin.
Yeah, because I fucking lagged out, bro.
You could have just shot it with the harpoon. You jumped off. Are you fucking serious?
That's too far.
If you guys come back to me, I got fireworks to guide you my way.
Fireworks.
Fire, bro.
It seems worth it to go all.
This place looks pretty important.
Die.
Fuck
Here
up,
is
man.
your hydrate.
I was seeing the skeletons, bro.
Golden circle orange juice.
Oh my god.
Well, take all the loot and drop it over there. Press X to drop.
Just spilt it on
Playing out of control.
I don't know when you fucking press them. Why do you put it nowhere near where I asked?
That's what you said. That's where everything was, bro.
Why'd you put it nowhere near where I
Guys,
asked?
stop fighting.
Bro, I had everything in the same, like, fucking tile.
I
Right?
put it in the same area.
Bro, look, Rogue, I said put it in the same area and he put it over here. Like, behind the rock.
Behind the rock?
Just so you couldn't see it, specifically. Grab me. Grab me. I'm lit. I'm valuable.
Don't
Surely,
fucking good boy me,
surely.
Sai. Don't do that.
Hey, what do we do with this? Do I just blow it up?
Don't blow it up.
Where do I put it?
We got a whole bunch of. We got a whole bunch
Do
of.
not drop it.
No,
That's all I'm
don't.
gonna
No.
say. Do
Like, where do I
not
store it though? Like, how is this valuable on the craft?
Oh, put it on the tip of the mast.
Do it.
Does that actually
Run into
affect the boat
somebody.
when it blows up though?
Yes, it will blow up.
It will.
Yeah,
if
but
someone
what-
shoots it, it will blow up.
Yeah,
and it
but
will
will
damage the ship.
Fuck.
It will.
Why is
But
it funny?
It's at the
Oh.
tippy top, so it's fine, right?
Where do we go now? We gotta go find our mystery island.
Where?
Wait, it's right here, I think. Wait, is that it? No.
Yeah, mermaids hideaway. That's it.
Let me just concentrate.
Head south.
Left. I don't know. Whatever left of whatever we're facing now. I'm gonna go around the island and drop sails. Drop the sails, Ricebin.
What does this mean?
Hook, get your ass back on.
Hook's on his own fucking adventure. Oh shit!
Oh, fuck! We done fucked up.
We done fucked up, boy.
We still too close to the land.
If you guys sell your stuff, I'll guide you where I am.
Bro, why are we selling our stuff for that? What? Just come fucking back. Swim in the water and get a mermaid.
There might be a big treasure here where I am, though. This looks very important.
You're saying there might be, but you're not actually going in there and finding out.
I don't know how to solve these constellations. I don't know how to read stars and the cosmics. I don't know.
Later. It's not something we specifically have to find. It's just like another voyage.
I think it might be a cool thing for us to work together and figure this out together and have the satisfaction reward of figuring out together. That's the true friendship.
I'm pretty sure I've done that one. You have to line up the constellation with the three symbols by moving left to right. Hold on, I'm gonna see.
Like follow up all three?
No, you can see the stars in the
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like which one to look at.
We're going like straight opposite the wind. I don't think there's much we can do.
Yeah, we can turn the sails so they're not facing directly into the wind, but slightly parallel.
The way why they're being so distant from one another.
The fuck are you talking about?
I'm trying to figure this out.
Shit are you on, bro?
I feel like I'm on acid.
Thinks nothing but force.
Bro smokes the Tsar of infinite thought.
Bro said I feel like I'm on acid.
What? I have an idea of what that feels like, bro.
I'll never will.
I don't know.
Why not? I got 2 tabs of something in my fucking
Just
thing.
drink green
Bro's playing Class of 09.
Drink green fairy? Yeah, pretty much.
Oh. That's not
shit.
it.
We need to turn slightly.
No, that's not it.
I think this is the island. Is it Frawnz?
No. What? That's it. Well, we can. Oh, wait, that one.
On the left.
I think it's the one straight ahead, to be honest. It is. Straight ahead, the big one.
Ah, shit, they spotted us.
You gotta go right more. A little bit. It's literally straight ahead. It doesn't really matter whether you turn or not. I love doing them things, but I don't know if they actually have worth it loot in the end, you know what I mean?
No, they're pretty... I think they do. Like, especially if you unlock both treasure rooms.
Yeah.
That's gonna hit us.
There's always 2 layers.
No, it's not. We should do some of them while we're doing voyages.
Yeah, we can.
Next time. Next time, boys. And also, ghost ships give so much loot.
They do. Lots and lots of loot. Especially captain chests as well. If you're lucky.
How do you sink them, though?
With ghost
bullets. You
bullets.
just gotta pump them bitches, honestly. You just pump them. Like, if you get right next to them and there's 4 people on your cannons, you're gonna sink them before they sink you.
At least 2 rounds. Oh, 4 times 2. You can sink them pretty quickly.
Because I was playing solo and I was versing like another sleep ghost ship and I don't know, I just got right next to them and fucking just sub-blasting non-stop.
I usually just like harpoon onto them and then just trail them.
That's kind of smart. Oh, and fire ammo works as well. Like the fire cannons, they work pretty well too.
Turn left!
Drop the anchor! If I turn left right now, we're gonna hit the fucking island.
Where's the anchor? Well, we might have dropped it too early.
Nah, should be right.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think we're a bit early.
Does it give you a sign if you complete it?
Well, we're knowing. Okay, we'll go find the entrance and where the hole where the actual loot you can fucking harpoon it from, and then we'll move the ship anywhere.
It's on the left side of the island from us.
So you knew that, but you didn't say anything.
What? I just looked at the map, alright? I didn't know it before I said it.
Bro thinks he has future sight.
You mean foresight, you fucking moron.
No, future sight.
Something future sight.
Yeah, future sight.
Yeah, I have future sight. I'm gonna touch you. in the future.
Oh wait,
That sounds like an
I thought this
SA
was where the actual
case. What the
loot spot
fuck?
was.
Fuck you on about the future. I'm gonna touch you in the present.
That's how I like it.
Oh, thank you for the quest. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Shut up, Hook. Hook, why don't you give me more subs, yeah?
Oh. Look, see your sugar daddy.
Yeah, bro.
Taking $2,000 a week.
He basically is. He
What
gifted... Last stream, he gifted me 2 subs, and then the next day he paid for my lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a such a generous person, bro.
Where is this godforsaken piece of shit? Oh, thank you for that.
I found
Oh,
the
thank you,
chest.
Fawnz. Good job, Fawnz.
I can't dig it.
Start digging in your butt, twin.
Start digging in it. I died. Where's my team? Someone help
Bro's
me.
playing Overwatch.
Someone help me. Ricebin, revive me.
Whee! Oh, I went too far.
I'm dead, guys. You don't revive me.
Come here.
Revive me. Hold it. Stick it. Don't die. You didn't stick it. I'm dead. I've died now, Rogue.
Oh, for
job.
God's sake.
You just killed me. You didn't revive me in time. You had so much time and you didn't revive me.
Didn't work. 20 odds.
I'll blame you for the rest of my life. You waiting for
Where's all the loot at, bro?
It was a chest in the bushes. Look on the map.
In the
It has
bushes.
the totem part in it that we go to. Because we have to go to a different island and then put the totem part in and then get all the chests out some secret fucking room.
Where?
It was in the bushes. Look on the map.
Oh, I see it.
There's no map. The map's gone because you found it.
Well, it's in a bush.
Wait, how did I move it upwards? Huh? I can move that
I
up?
can't dig it because Rice is digging it.
Keep digging in it.
Keep digging in it.
Oh!
Start digging in your butt.
Oh
Gwen.
my god.
You gotta keep digging in it.
Whoa! I'm revealing the stars in the cosmic skies. Whoa!
Guys, I think Hook's tripping.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh! Oh! Wait!
Hook is tripping out.
Whoa!
Is he tripping or?
Whoa! Oh.
Hook genuinely losing his shit.
Oh, the butterfly! This looks fucking cool.
Where's the ladder?
Alright, so I need that one there to be in the middle. Yeah, I need that to be in the middle. I need to line them up properly. That one there. Hey, thanks for the 3,000. Thank you for that.
Mermaid's Hideaway, Stone Key. Alright, which hideaway?
You just said it. Did you not?
Is
Sorry.
it called Mermaid's Hideaway?
Now
Is that
what?
where we're going?
Is that what's on the thing then? Yeah.
Let me see if I can find a Mermaid's Hideaway.
It's not lined up properly? Hmm.
Is there a place called Mermaid's Hideaway? Is what my question.
We're at it. We're at it. Are we not? We are.
Oh right.
Hmm.
Lol.
Wait, so is that what the thing is? What's it called?
We literally just have Mermaid's Hideaway, Stone Key. That's what it's called. Are we supposed
to? Here. What the fuck?
Ah.
Wait, why are we moving?
Fuck. Who lifted the anchor?
I did, but I didn't know the sails were up.
Turn us.
Oh.
Quick.
There you go. Bit more.
You sound like a freak right now, Hook Sniffer.
I get that a
Just
lot.
by yourself,
Wait, what the
whispering
fuck?
at
Wait,
them
whoa. Whoa, there's glass there. Huh.
Glass.
Yeah,
There's
glass.
there.
It's glass.
Yeah, okay, there's glass.
Bro, the movie Glass was fucking garbage. I hate that movie.
Hook in jail.
That's the best way for me to get teleport back to you guys. Force me to be in jail. If you need extra help, just throw me in jail. Come on.
Alright, hang on. Can I hop in here?
This work?
I can't. Alright. Keep turning. Hang on. I'll
You gotta anchor.
I'll do some cool shit. Hang on. See, look at this.
And
harpoon to turn.
Whoa. Whoa.
Wait, I see gold.
We can anchor.
What?
Anchor when you're ready.
Oh,
Anchor.
what?
Anchor now. Why is no one anchoring?
I'm anchoring, bro.
I'll be back.
Oh,
we're gonna hit land.
Oh, no! Wait,
What hook?
I'm doing polka dots.
Or what?
I'm doing polka dots. Oh, and then down, there. Oh,
Hey guys, we gotta.
oh no. There we go. There we go. There, there, and then. Oh. Then. Oh. And. Ah! Damn it. Hmm.
Is this a thing? Am I going crazy?
No. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
There's an underwater section of this island. Hang on.
No.
I don't know where the stash is. It might be off the edge of the. Oh, it's probably off the edge somewhere. Hang on.
Ah.
Yeah, there's a whole ass dude on this island. 5 paces, Frank.
Whole ass
Shut your-
dude. Wait.
Wait, what the fuck are Frawnz and Rice doing?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They're kind of throwing.
Jump out of barrel. I was playing
Fawnz
with
is
like
AFK right now.
Asshole. No.
Oh.
No. What?
Wait, my fault, guys.
Where'd you go?
You good?
My brother was fucking giving me Dubai chocolate he made.
Dubai. He made it. He made it.
He tried to.
Chocolate's crazy.
Sorry for your loss.
It actually tastes kind of good, but it was like warm, and I think that's why. Like it wasn't an actual chocolate bar; it was just like the filling with like warm chocolate.
Oh no!
No, it was kind of fun.
Oh no!
I don't know if
Holy
you had
shit!
it.
What's up, Yellow Dog? How you doing, bro? What's good? Do you like my hat?
It is totally
pretty chill. Wait, is it crooked? This shit ain't even straight. Perfect.
Is that a problem?
No, I just said
Yes?
not straight. All right, guys.
No.
You said my bandana's not straight; it's straight.
Guys, we need to look for the entrance to the
No.
thing.
Is there a certain way you gotta do it?
Just talking to himself over there. It's over here somewhere.
Huh.
Yeah. Message in a bottle? Oh, I found treasure. That's not helpful at all.
Once you light the stargazer, the constellations you need to align will reveal themselves on the row of 3 spinning stones above the temple crypt door.
Hat is tough. I agree. Hat is pretty tough. Thank you.
There are other constellations on more spinning stones.
Captain Morgan to go with Captain Morgan. I'm not drinking tonight. I'm not drinking. You're a good man, Arthur Morgan. Nah, I'm not so sure about this Dutch.
I'm scared,
So
sister.
you only know which ones you need to discover once you activate the puzzle. There are also
I bet it's on this side somewhere.
You don't want to spend time drawing those.
Yeah, we gotta dive into the water, guys, to look for the entrance to the stash.
That would make
Here.
sense.
Wait, I think I see something. I don't know if it's just my game glitching out or if it's actually something. Hang on.
Would it be that far away in that direction though?
It's not.
It would be like in the shore, or if not on land.
Yeah. It's there's gonna be like a door just off the side of the island here somewhere. Fuck, I'm gonna drown.
Oh.
Is that a horn? Please
Is
tell me
that
it's a horn.
Hook Tour?
That'd be so good right now. Shut up, Hook. Yo, I got a Horn of the Seven Win, a Horn of Fair Winds, guys. Look at this shit.
I found this area, but I don't know. I don't think it's this area. Surprisingly, it looks like it would be an entrance. Oh no, it wouldn't. That's kind of a rock. It's okay.
I'm gonna
Is it
die.
under?
Oh wait. Oh wait. I'm diving in an underwater cave. That's like in the land.
Yeah, that just connects to like different parts of the island.
Wait, no. I'm in a hole. That just goes out back onto the island. This is
Have a good night. Have a good night, Rat in the Hat. Thank you for joining the stream, dropping by. Really appreciate it.
So you would think this will work, but it actually doesn't. I'm not sure why it doesn't do it.
There's a thing over here.
We just have to find
How quaint.
the dash. Once we find this dash, then we can actually grab the key. You good?
That fucking blew up.
Ball.
Blow up. And then act like I don't know about it.
Where's Mr. Krabs?
My main goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
I can't solve this. For some reason, it doesn't want to do it. That's it. That's it right there, right? It is.
Hello, Mario.
That's it right there, right? Oh wait, is that a wrong animal?
You're the wrong animal.
It's a bat, not an owl. Oh.
What the fuck? A bat and not an owl?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Hook should have been a sloth.
Like there, right?
Am I right,
The
chat?
one from Zootopia.
The one from Zootopia, yeah.
He's too cool.
What was his name? Clive? I don't know.
Flash. His name's Flash.
Flash.
Yeah, his name's Flash. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, disembodied voice. That wasn't Hook.
So I'm gonna move that over here.
Flash.
Savior of the universe.
Bro, where is this damn thing?
There we
Gotta find the
go.
hole.
I'm about to fucking Google it at this point.
Honestly, not a bad idea.
Google, where is the hole?
Google, where is the hole?
Where is the mermaid's hideaway?
Where's the mermaid's hole?
Wait.
Okay.
Okay. If you're searching it up,
Search it up, right? Fuck it.
Oh!
No, it's got to be for another place, surely.
If you want to learn more about City of Thieves, just look up City of Thieves Rule 34.
Yeah, that actually works out a lot, actually. Because there's only 34 rules of 34. 34 rules only for Sea of Thieves.
Shut up, Book.
So, does that mean I completed it? Okay.
You complete it. Oh, he's gonna barrel, he's gonna barrel, he's gonna barrel.
Oh, guys, I found it.
Good job, bro.
Yeah. It's in the middle of the island.
Did I find that before?
There's there's no doors or anything like obvious, but there is a spot for the key.
Where the fuck are you? How are you down there?
Hang on, I'm climbing up the ladder.
Oh,
Can someone bring me-
there.
Turtle.
I've got the key already.
Yeah. Drop down. Drop down in the water.
Where am I putting it?
You got it? Yeah, it's down here.
On.
Oh, so it's like actually.
Really?
No, that's not
Yeah.
fair.
Damn it.
Wait, what? Oh no, that's a statue.
I should play it.
That's I swear this. Okay, maybe not.
Oh, there's a chest here. I don't know if you can...
Oh yeah, that's a face. Okay, those are eyes. That's my bad. I swear it was a thing. But,
Surely it's something down here though.
yeah, it's got to be down here.
It could be just like something, because it's more like a pressure plate on a stone.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna drown down here, and I have the key.
Yay! Oh, shit! I completed something.
Damn, Hook got us a commendation? That's crazy.
Whoa, I got gold. Gold, gold, gold.
Bro's tweaking.
This is really cool. I like this. I like this. This is cool.
Did you find it? Rice, did you find out what we're supposed to be looking for?
I'm googling it.
Just Google it, guys. That's what I did. I see you stupid it.
Mermaid Hall of...
You look up on Rule 34, Sea of Thieves. Ah.
Am I getting shot at? Oh yeah,
Yes, you are.
There's a skeleton up there. Hang on, let me snipe this fucker.
Yay!
I swear to God, it's probably not even here. Let's be real.
Probably is.
Was it mermaid hideout stash?
Under a large stone archway.
Gold.
So on the
A large archway on the backside of the island where the vault door is situated between two rocks.
Situated? This situation's crazy, chat.
So it's on the island.
Is this not the arch? This is what I mean, this area over here. I found it. I fucking knew it was this area. I just couldn't find the pressure plate for it.
Good job, bro.
Bruh.
Because I was looking over here and I was like, this looks like it would open up. Because I was looking here and I was like, this looks like it would open up.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Shoot him, cunt!
I have any ammo.
Thank you. Anyway, like, try and guess where the stone key would be. I'll tell you where the pressure... Okay,
I found it.
Fucking asshole. I'll just kill
But what do you mean?
No,
You
'cause
found
I
it
was
without Google. Google
No,
who?
I was
What's
looking
Google?
over here because they're usually over next to it, or the one I did.
Yeah.
Fuck up, man.
No. Hey.
Hold your lanterns high, lads.
Oh, it's this one here.
No.
No!
Yay.
Oh, you're ready, man.
Yay.
Oh, it's opening.
Oh.
Go, man!
No.
Get your treasure! I'm just gonna get...
Oh, fuck. It's a puzzle.
Yes, okay, someone take chests out and put them next to the door. I'm gonna get started on the puzzle. Someone pick up gold.
Yes.
I'm picking up gold.
The higher you go, by the way, the better treasure you get, by the way.
Because the doors are gonna start closing again, so just
the time
take
limit.
all the chests and instantly put them out the door, Ricebin.
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
And if you collect the coins, the timer goes quicker, by the way. So go to the very, very top and get all the better treasure at the very, very top of the whole room.
Oh, stop collecting coins!
Yeah, don't collect coins. Don't collect coins. Makes the timer go quick.
Are all the chests done?
No.
Bro's tweaking out right now. Yay!
Is there every chest? Is there another chest that I'm missing?
There's ones up top. Climb up top and shit.
Chain.
Wait. Oh,
Wait, I'm trying to find the last medallion.
fuck? Wonder why I did that. That's so weird.
Oh, we need a vault medallion. Where's the last one?
I don't know. Oh, it might be over there on your right. On your right. Oh no, that's a chest. Where is the last one? Would it be on the other platform on the right?
I think it's in the middle.
That's what I was looking for though.
With gold and soil and well for toil.
Wait, is it there? Behind the chest on the top? No. Where the fuck is it?
Box.
Is that it? Yeah, I got every chest.
No, there's still more chest, man.
Ah, shit.
I'm just looking for the medallion.
Medallions are
There's
very
still one
good.
more.
3 medallions are the
It gives
main
us
floor.
better chest.
Yes,
Look
way
sharp.
better. No, it's not it.
Is it not under a pile of gold?
No,
Oh wait,
No,
found
it'll
it,
be
found it, found
isolated from the gold.
Nice.
it. Found it.
Put it in and then just do the pattern.
Lock
Do you know how
and
to do the
key.
pattern?
Wait, what's the last one then? This only shows 3. What's the last one?
No, because there's 4 different things.
Yeah.
I forget which order you do it in.
Where is the lion?
Is it this
Guys, the
one?
door's about to close. Hurry the fuck up. I didn't
I
realize.
got it.
Quickly, man, the door's becoming like soon to be darkened.
Alright,
Oh,
collect
it's
all the
in every
gold.
chest. No, it was every chest, I think.
Yeah, that's everything.
Hey, good job.
Collect all the gold.
Okay, we're locked. Alright, we're just gonna drown here and die and yeah, okay, cool. Get all the gold that you can, man.
Gold.
Die for this gold, man.
What about the chests?
They'll all be there, I think. I don't know how long that outside door stays open for, but the inside one only closes.
Inside door closed, okay.
The outside one might only close after all the loot's gone. I don't know what the actual time limit is on it.
About 3 to 4 business days. Thanks for the free goals, by the
Collect your
way.
loot, man.
Yeah,
Collect your loot.
I'm dead.
Chat,
I'm not
I'm
dead
dead.
yet.
Offer soul to the ferryman. The
Okay.
ferryman.
What? Excuse me?
You heard me.
I'm gonna add a quarter man of gold.
Alright. Oh, hey, Rice.
Damn it.
Oh, hey guys. What are you doing here?
Hello, Mario.
Funny seeing you guys here.
Damn
Alright.
it.
Goodbye, man.
What is bloody...
I'm alive.
Oh, welcome back.
We're gonna go get all our loot. Fuck, man.
Should I go ahead and did you rip it?
I ripped it, bro.
Nice, good
Really
job.
nice.
There's a dusty cone as well, so.
Oh, no.
Mate, that's
Not in the
cool.
bag of your
That's a good thing, bro.
Yeah, that's just accumulation of whatever the fuck has been put in that grinder for the past month.
Oh, no, you're recycling it, bro.
Good
Yeah,
shit.
that's it. It's just a little reward.
It's like a reward.
Don't let it get away.
Think of the kids in Africa who can't smoke the czar.
Exactly. bro.
That's
for them.
awful. That's awful.
Hunter is just smoking. Oh, sorry, Chuckle smoking it for them.
I think that's the first time you actually called me Hunter, except when you were like making a joke when I was at yours, and you're like, Hunter, and I steal it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta stop seeing this illegal day
I'm
next
looking.
time
I
around.
need to stop looking at the green light, bro.
Oh.
What are
The
you-
one who'll get that.
Hook, I hope you die, because that would be fucking funny.
No, I got this. Oh, hang on.
Hun, I ripped that fucking code not even 2 minutes ago, and I'm already fucking right.
Chicken, there we go.
I'm waiting for the dedicated snap from you.
You know it, bro.
We're baking a cake.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Bro, we made a good fucking cake on Friday, didn't we?
I'm shit. I have the photos as my wallpaper now.
Yeah.
The photo of me.
Photo of you,
That's-
Ricebin, and Rack.
That's cute as fuck, bro.
Family photos.
I got a few of my mates like just absolutely fried in photos.
Hell yeah.
With their consent, I hope.
Oh, it's kind of gay, not gonna lie. I like
it. No, I died.
Fuck, Keisha.
I died.
Hook actually died. Someone please clip him dying. I want to go back and watch it.
I got killed by explosion. That's fun. That's cool. Okay, what are you guys doing
You
now?
can start doing something.
Someone better have clipped Hook dying.
I'm not sure if anyone's even on my stream right now.
Yeah, it's because everyone's in my stream.
Yourself.
You ain't got no hoes, bro.
You got no hugs.
Was there any chest left?
Viewers,
No bitches.
no subscribers.
Ricebin, was there any chest left?
Oh,
Yeah, there's one more.
Oh, there's probably a little bit of loot as well.
Yeah, there are little pieces left, aren't there? Yeah, there's two small things left. Oh, 3 small things
They
left.
aren't that small. They're pretty average.
Good personality as well.
What you're on about?
Yuck. Oh, I'm back here. Hello.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised our ship hasn't been like sunk since we've been down there.
Huh?
Thank
Keep a
God.
light on.
Yeah.
Wow,
Hello.
chat. Wow, chat. I don't think I'm gonna make it through the night.
What's
Are you
that?
good, bro?
I'm gone, bro.
You gone?
It's a heavy fucking like mind fuck. Not a
Thank
mind
goodness
fuck.
you're spit.
Drink some water, charcoal.
Bro.
Drink some water.
What did I just hear?
Who's my mate alive?
Charcoal, let them
I
in.
opened up
Charcoal.
a snap.
Thank you.
Charcoal, let them in.
What?
Let them in.
Who?
The
Let
monsters.
them in.
What monsters?
Let them in. They're outside. Let them in.
Okay, I'll let him in.
Should we go sell now, even though like all the shit we just got was so low value?
Yeah, let's go
Better than
sell. Let's
nothing.
go sell.
Dude, how long does this wheel turn?
It does
3
2
to 4
full
business
turns.
days.
Well, let's go Port Merrick.
Oh, holy fuck, I'm actually crying.
Are you okay?
Port Merrick. So dead left.
Oh well, we're turned all the way right, because we're about to crash into them.
All the sails are up, so we're not going to go forwards. We're just going to turn.
Actually, I don't know if it was left or right. I forgot.
Whoa.
It's left.
Have to choose.
We're going north-northeast.
Sails down, man.
You can
Dude, these
see the
blasts
lights
are getting
in the
stupid. Oh my god, these blast
in the
radiuses
distance.
are garbage. Holy shit.
Make sure the sails are going the right way. Straight
You
ahead.
guys are gonna have a fun snap to open. That just got sent.
We're going this way.
Bless.
Can I show stream?
Yeah, show stream. Show stream.
Alright, chat.
You're gonna have to get proper in focus. You can just us.
Bro's fucking zooted, guys.
You know, I'm fucking gone, bro.
But you're right here though.
My body is fine.
Oh,
It's
for
just my
fuck's sake.
fucking
Hang
mind.
on. I lost sound again. God damn it.
Charcoal, I think you need another one.
I think you might be right, mate.
Be very careful. Be very
right.
careful.
Like, it just cancels out.
Right ahead, man.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Is that a fucking megalodon?
Oh, I
Where?
hope so.
Oh,
That'd be
yeah.
so funny if you found Megalodon. Oh my
wanna kill
god.
it.
We're getting chased? Oh,
Oh shit, bro.
Bro, you gotta catch the megalodon.
bro, shit. Someone hook it with a harpoon.
Do it.
That'd be so funny.
No, China missed.
No, hit it with a cannon.
He ain't got shit on me.
We're gonna get bitten.
Rice is quick scoping that motherfucker.
I'm out of ammo, we're fucked.
We're about at the
Yay.
island.
No,
We're not about at the
died.
island, but we're getting close to the island now.
Island of Sodor?
Ricebin, can you please share your screen? Possibly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah!
Oh shit, we're nearly at the island, Rogue.
We're hit.
Yeah, bro.
Oh fuck.
Just the islands.
We're gonna hit it.
I can anchor in time.
Alright, cool.
We're just not really close to anything. Go to the right. If you can.
Yeah, we're going right.
That sounds about
'Cause I
right.
kind of want to go to where the tent person is, but I don't know where they are anyway.
Oh, hop in the... Okay, never mind. Drop the anchor.
Ricebin, why is it so dark on your screen?
We're going so fucking
That's just
fast.
how it is in single phase. It's just that dark as shit.
Fawnz one isn't.
You can tell the brightness surely in display.
You can? Hold on.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Alright, hang on. Pull up all the sails. Wait, have you hooked us on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh
I'll
my
see where the
god,
tent
you
is.
found it, bro.
Let me.
Yeah, there you go. Now you can see.
Now Ricebin can actually play the game now.
So what do we do now? What do you mean? Time to play the game.
Oh my god, I remember that from that
Where is
game.
this tent person?
I love that. That World of Warcraft
Where is-
episode was great.
Gold this way. Gold hoarders.
Die.
Wait,
They're on
So-
the- I think the gold hoarders are on the other side of the fucking island, bro.
Oh my god.
Wait, no, I remember they're over here, yeah. I know this place. Wait, maybe I don't. What the fuck? What the fuck are the gold
Riddle
hoarders?
of
Are they up here?
secrets.
No, this is all the soul. Oh,
Ah, shoot.
here's the gold hoarders logo. Wait, well, it's the... That's the logo, but where are they? Oh, up here.
Oh yeah, I fucking packed a dusty cone and I didn't actually realize how much I actually fucking put in.
Be so careful, bro.
And I only realized how much I actually
Nice, good job.
So I'm thinking,
Hooray, we
I
did
feel it in the back of
it.
my throat.
Damn, bro.
Oh my god, chat, I did it. I solved the puzzle.
Did Hook actually do it?
Yep, I did.
Wait, I'm surprised he lived from where he was and didn't TP back to the boat.
I was
Also,
hacking.
Ricebin, also, if you turn your shadows down in graphics, you can also get.
Yay!
Ooh.
Skeleton camp. Put an end to the ritual. Sure, why not?
Damn, bro actually did it? What the fuck? Man
Cool.
can actually play games? That's crazy.
What is this exactly? Orb of Secrets. What does Orb of Secrets do?
My shadow's all the way down, bro.
Oh. Damn, I guess you're just gay, I don't know.
What the fuck, Charcoal? I guess he was fucking gay, I don't know.
Yeah, bro, type shit.
Something like that.
Exactly. He knows what I mean.
He knows what he means.
I think he knows what I mean.
So what does this do exactly? What am I doing?
It does your mom. Am I right, chat?
Doing your mom.
Murder's goal. What does this orb do? Who can I sell this to?
Hook, you know there's designated merchants for all items, right?
In which island?
Excuse me.
I said all items.
Yeah, but which ones, though?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I saw that. I saw that, Frawnz.
Return to my ship. Orb Secrets will be lost? No, I have to carry this thing with me?
Yeah, start swimming, bro.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I know where you guys. I know where you guys are, so I'll swim over to you guys.
Yeah, it starts with Michael Forbes. How far away are you?
I don't know. I have no clue. I can see your items,
You'd have
though.
a better chance finding a rowboat.
I'll be funny if I found a rowboat.
What if the Kraken attacks while he's swimming?
If the Kraken showed up, I'll actually close the game. I hate the Kraken. I have thrassophobia.
That would be so funny.
Because you guys will get kicked out if I do that.
Oh, true. Don't fucking quit.
Then don't jinx having a Kraken spawn
Don't
in.
be a pussy ass.
Don't. Yeah.
Literally.
Type shit.
Yes, sir. Type shit, Rice. Tell him.
Type it. Type it right now. Type it shit right now.
Type shit in.
When you see calamari on your plate, you get scared.
I shit my pants every time.
Oh, I fucking love calamari.
Calamari is so good.
Type shit, bro.
So if
Calamari is like the only seafood I'm good with.
That's a bit weird. The return to ship orb will be lost. I need. Oh, shark! 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 Shark!
Keep swimming, Hook.
Shark! It's a shark! There's a shark! There's a shark! There's a shark!
Just keep swimming. Just
Oh,
keep
what
swimming.
are you doing? What are you doing here, man? I can't even defend myself.
Just keep swimming, man. It's fun. You'll go away eventually.
Go away eventually.
You'll get bored. There'll be a robot around here. There'll be a robot around here. There'll be a
Just trying
robot.
to play it.
It's right there. Easy. I just gotta go over there.
Oh, bro, they gave me 83 gold. That was fucking worth it.
That was so not worth it, bro. Oh, that's so funny.
It was 83 gold to my 1,080,000.
That's pretty good.
You have 1 million?
It's very easy to get gold in this game.
Bro,
It's
I've only
very
got
easy.
250k. I mean, I own a sloop and a what's the medium one?
A dupe.
Yes.
Shut up, Hook.
No, it's called dupe.
How much do I have? I've got 200k.
A brigantine? Wait, no, that's the one we're in a galleon. Yeah, I own a sloop and a brigantine.
Brag about it.
Brigida from Overwatch.
Brigida?
Hell into me.
Is that charcoal?
What the fuck is that?
He's so serious.
Charcoal's just rapping.
Oh, it's that guy. Why so serious? I'm the Woker, baby.
Bronze. Surely
Yeah.
cosplay as the Joker on the Gold Coast Supernova. Cosplay as the Joker.
Are you not, bro?
Hey, I'll wait for props to get back. I'll wait for props to
I'm
get
gonna
back.
set up those barrels if you do it again.
I'm guessing you're like fucking taking the harpoon while I'm on it. You dog.
No.
How far away are you guys? Are you guys over that ship over there? Oh my god, you're not that far away from
just
me.
keep swimming. Yeah, keep swimming.
Oh, I might die from a shark though.
Nah.
That'd be so funny.
I probably will die from a shark. I got poisoned. I just got poisoned from a snake.
Wait, I went the wrong way.
If I can just eat some...
No, my fucking skull is using it against me. I'm burning to death.
Ah, no, I'm on fire.
Suck it, burn, burn, burn.
Wait, should we keep this one? Because we can use it for the sails.
Sir salute.
Yeah, keep the horn. I want to keep the skull as well in case someone tries to board us.
We have another skull as well, the mermaid one.
I'll probably be me, to be honest.
Is there no skull?
What's the mermaid one do?
No skull. No dime. No action.
Oh, what the fuck?
That's
crazy.
Hmm.
What the hell?
Hey, thank you for that. Thank you for the $1,600. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
What the fuck is a kilometer? Rice, I don't think you can sell that one.
I thought you can sell every item, Rogue.
No, but
misinformation.
Not here.
Nah, you said every item.
We need to find the smugglers, whatchamacallit, and they're not with the other places.
Bro said every item.
Same with,
Wait, any item that says smuggler, you can't sell my monkey con.
Why not?
Choco, watch this one.
Alright, I'm swimming over, guys.
Bro, Choco's zooted, bro.
Choco, watch this
The
one.
monk? No, not the monkey! Get him! Go save him! You monster!
Did you fucking cannon the monkey away?
He's
cannoned the fucking
Hey,
monkey.
thank you for the 182 bits. Thank you for that.
Hey, Rice, get in the cannon.
Which one?
Any of them.
Frawnz, what's your gold hoarder
My
level?
For You page, bro.
Bye, Rice.
What's your oh my god, I saw Rice's fly. What's your gold hoarder level, Frawnz?
42.
That's not bad.
What's yours, man?
64. Yeah.
I think I'm 20 something.
That's pretty good, actually.
Why are you blasting that in the fucking microphone?
He's doing it
Choco?
deliberately, bro. Oh, thank you for the 455 bits. Thank
Who
you for
wants
that.
to be my Bill Clinton to my Donald Trump?
Oh my god.
Bro, I'll be Bill if you're Trump.
Chat. New
Wait.
pickup line just dropped.
I love how you just offered to be Donald Trump in that situation.
Just put in a fucking dating profile.
Oh my god, put a Tinder, put a Tinder.
Looking for my
Trump to my Bill Clinton right now.
I'm looking for my Donica Lewinsky. Get it, chat. Oh, I'm petting the monkey. That's adorable. I'm petting the monkey.
Brag about it.
The tide's with you. Dive in.
Holy fuck, bro.
Well,
Just look at me. I'm just having
you guys need to
orb.
check what I'm sending you guys on Instagram. This shit's actually peak.
I would love to, but
Get
I
off
haven't
of my
received
shit.
anything.
Goodbye, Gilberry.
No!
Oh my god, Frawnz. It's just such a cutout scream. Nah!
This ship's on fire, by the way.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Oh fuck, I didn't know that would happen. Where's seawater?
Who can I sell this to?
Why is it so... it's fixed.
Is it?
Put your weapon away, sir.
Imagine if I try and sell this
Bro,
orb
what the
I'm
fuck
holding
are you
onto
doing,
and it's
Rice?
fake. Oh god! Oh no, I'm getting attacked by a shark! Oh no, I might actually die, I'm not even kidding. I might actually die.
Wait, does this not actually do anything? What does it do? What's happening to you?
I get a little
I can
outline around my
see
screen. but nothing else.
guys. I can
Why, Gilberry?
Gilbert Goffrey?
Why do you keep shooting my fucking monkey?
Your turn.
Oh no,
He's going-
I'm a one
Go
shot.
so far.
I'm a one shot. Ah! I just lost my
My turn,
orb.
my turn.
GG's. That was fun. I'm happy I actually completed that quest. That was cool. That was cool.
I'm just gonna 360 like shoot.
Bryce, can you not?
No,
Can you?
Fuck am I watching?
Oh wait, guys, we have more chests to sell. I forgot about these.
What the fuck is my point?
I'm stuck in the water.
Guys, cool shirt sold their Minecraft merch and it looks pretty fire.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna send this to you guys. You need to watch it. It's fun.
I'm gonna go piss. I'll be back.
Brag about it.
Yeah.
Guys, Frawnz is too far away for me to hook. So.
You said the word.
You're so funny.
Nah, it's great. I love it. So I lost the orb because I died.
Bring them all up here.
Hey, I'm back. Hello, everybody.
He's back.
Hello.
Oh god. Blow him away.
Whoa.
Pick up the horn and get rid of him.
What does this button do? What does this button do?
And vote to put him in the brig.
Oh, yeah, let's put Hook in the brig.
No, if I grab all the bombs first.
Jack, can we spin the wheel to put Hook in the brig?
Are we like selling everything?
There's
or?
no wheel to spin. Yes, we're selling everything.
Not yet. Nice, good
we're
job.
trying to sell everything.
Ah, that's alright. At least I'm happy to help out.
Help out?
Yeah. If I could figure out which direction I was at before when I died, I would get the gold thing. Oh, the fuck? Oh. That's where he came from. Hello. Goodbye.
Fuck off. Where's the horn?
It's in the back room.
The back rooms?
Of course. Talk. Talk.
No.
Who am I talking to?
I don't wanna.
Who am I talking to? Where am I going?
This way.
Okay.
Left.
Thank you. Oh, in this building, I forgot. Oh, yeah, the golden one over here. True.
Yeah, the gold hoarders.
Yeah, that's gold.
Selling all
One.
that chest.
Yeah.
Am I right? I'm off.
Hey.
Your mom's a whore, Bryce.
What the fuck? That's not even funny, bro. Projecting yourself to someone else's parents is kind of rude. Just saying.
Wait, does this not pull me?
I don't know.
I think it doesn't own the ship.
Hey, ×2. We should have had our level ascension. Damn. Oh wait. There you go.
You can go on it while someone else.
I was gonna detach it by accident. I wasn't gonna hit that. After this, I might head off and raid off to one of you guys.
Bruce speaking Chinese.
Based. I love my Mandarin. Someone clip that. Can someone clip Rogue trying to speak Chinese?
I wasn't trying.
Okay.
No way you played a Chinese song when I joined. Yeah, welcome, chat. This is my mate Steven. He actually is Chinese as well.
Can Steven speak the most racist things in Mandarin?
Yeah, probably. Steven, say a slur.
Like an actual slur.
I'm using him like a Pokemon right now. Steven, say slur! Bro.
I'm lost.
Wait. Steven actually said something, but it's asking...
A mod check.
Yeah, hang on.
That's
Oh,
fair.
I know what that says. No, you can't say that, Steven.
You literally asked me to do it.
I know.
Wow,
but
fake friend.
I didn't say that I was going to let it go through.
Then what's the point?
Okay,
I'll grab it.
In my defense, he said a literal slur just in Mandarin, alright?
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, that's sick.
What?
What's slur?
Tell us. Spill the beans.
The one for African Americans.
What's that word? I don't know what that is. Can you say it? Can you say
Why the fuck
it?
do they have their own word for that?
My favorite.
What?
It's actually 2 words
No, what's the
combined.
word though? Can you tell us what the word is though?
Black and man.
I don't know what it is though. Can you tell us what it is, Rogue?
Worse, to be honest. But yeah.
Or not even human.
Oh, I
I
love
think
that game.
it's pronounced like 𝐈𝐌𝐏𝐎𝐑𝐓𝐀𝐍𝐓 or something like
What
that.
the fuck did you just fucking say, cunt?
Hey,
Whee! You have to
Hey,
repeat
what's
that
up?
again. You have to repeat that again, Rogue. I'm not sure if we
Sorry,
know what that
sorry,
means. Whee! Yeah, Rogue, I'm not sure if you should be saying that on stream, bro.
Did we
What is
Oh,
that?
it's
That's
empty.
cool. What is that? That's cool. That's cool. What the hell is that? Whee! What does it do?
Did we celebrity?
Whee!
Chat, I'm stuck under the ship.
Whee! Whee! There you go.
Oh, for God's sake.
Ricebin?
There we go. Alright, what can we do here? So what we're doing now, what's the plan?
Rice is using up our horn.
Brag about it. That's not the horn. This is the horn.
These are like Percy Jackson.
That's the horn. So, where are we going?
That's all.
Why is it making clicking sound?
Oh my god.
It's kinda gross.
That's me slamming the teeth together.
Oh my good
Get away from
god.
me. You're like an old lady with dentures.
Oh my god, I can hear it. This is pretty.
I'm spamming it. Guys, I'm spamming it.
Bro's joking with the skull. What are you, necrophilia?
Open wide.
Oh. And the dentist be like,
Open
Go
wide.
being POV.
Bro's Kane from Major Digital Circus.
Let me get a good look at that.
yeah, I'm looking at these teeth, boy.
Oh, you're missing a few of them, I can't lie to you. Your back fucking more seem to be.
I am the background noise right now.
The front of your skull isn't properly developed.
Doctor, be honest. Does this affect my teeth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From being a fucking, I'm being a ventriloquist. Duh. Won't be.
Bro's trying to do a different voice. That's so funny.
Hook. Kill yourself.
Oh, did you say that? Or is that the guy?
Oh shit! Get off me!
I love how my hand in game is shaking as if it's still spewing fire.
Terrifying.
I'm gonna deny that. Can't say that, Steven.
What do we do now?
Touch each other
I
with
reckon.
all the gold that we just got.
Yeah, I reckon. Do we have fireworks?
I don't think we actually got that much.
If we have fireworks,
Yeah,
I
we have
can.
fireworks.
Yeah, we should shoot some fireworks, guys. Because I had fireworks before.
Wait, put them in like every cannon and shoot them all up at once if we can.
That'd be such a mess.
Yeah.
That'd be such a mess. One's here,
Nah,
one's here,
it's
one's here,
fine.
one's here. And this one here. Ah, shit.
Aim them, no, aim them all straight up.
Yeah, yeah. Ricebin, bye.
Ricebin.
I guess doesn't like fireworks.
Ricebin. No fucking fireworks for this comment. Fuck off.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, such a ruiner.
I don't fucking dodge. You just want to keep leaving.
Not part of the group, bro, I see. That needs to fully.
He's going out, bro.
Nah, fuck off.
Hey, cannons are ready.
Alright.
Bro, he's seeing and hearing Down syndrome people
Wait,
speak.
don't actually
Oh no, don't fight, don't fight! Oh shit!
Ricebin.
No, Ricebin!
Wait, we only have like
what's
two
this
actual
flashing? What
fireworks.
is flashing? What is this fireworks?
We only have two actual ones anyway. Where's
Dude,
Rogue?
what
Wait,
the
don't
fuck
start
are
again.
those?
Rice's name.
Is this
Those
the
are
It?
flares.
They're
Those are
from
only
it.
flares.
Yeah, guys, it's the deadlight from it.
It's deadlight from it.
Oh.
Wait, welcome to it. Or welcome to Dairy's.
Welcome to it. Welcome to it.
Welcome to it.
Damn, these things are so bright. Let me get a closer look. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck, that's bright.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Set them off. Set them off.
Set them off, set them off, set them off, set them off. Go. Oh, see how messy they are. Oh, so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. Whoa.
Shit, a plane just hit the second ship.
No, again.
Our ship has hit the second island.
Thank God it's Jeffrey's island though.
No
He's
one
got to
set this
cover
one
it.
off. Fucking idiots.
I did set that one off.
No, he didn't. You fucking liar.
I literally
pretty.
did.
No, he didn't. Ooh, it's a pretty. Ooh, wow. Ooh, wow. Ooh, wow. Ooh, wow. Ooh, wow. Ooh, wow. I had a closer look for it. Thanks to Rice.
Alright, what now? Can we buy fireworks?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Where?
Whee! Up your monkey's uncle.
Monkey, go into the flare, monkey.
Oh my God! It's vlogging the dead light.
Monkey into the flare.
He's like a burnt little simp, like a smidge.
Attach him to the rocket and send him away.
Do what NASA did.
You're gross! He's already got the bucket out. Get him off.
What?
Sorry, I gotta keep Ricebin off the ship. You gotta,
Alright, time to get drunk.
No, you fuck us. Quick, get up before Ricebin.
Hey, I'm here.
You fucking bitch.
What the fuck
You're
even
gross.
happened?
I see that,
That's kind of
man.
gross.
Fucking gross. You reek.
Hey, man.
Right. That's so gross.
Gotta down all this grog, chat. Gotta down all the grog. Cheers.
Cheers, boys. Cheers. What?
I think I'm getting a bit seasick, chat.
It'd be like that.
You got me.
Grog number 4.
Hey, what flavor? What flavor?
I don't know.
Oh, that's no fun.
Bro, I'm not drinking actual grog.
And like that, you just ruined it.
Fuck! We're going straight into the eye!
What happened? What the fuck happened?
You just raised the anchor and said fuck it.
Hey!
Wait,
Is there like a secret thing over here? Hey! It's my new wallpaper. Dude,
Oh, come here.
Is it the Razor Synapse? Where are you? Can't you see?
I don't see any holes.
Oh yeah? You wanna try it? You wanna try it?
Bro, we're like stuck on the island.
I got a map
Just
for you.
turn,
I got a
bro.
map for you. I got a map for
It
you,
is
bro.
turned.
I'm gonna go for a swim.
Bye.
Push the boat, bro.
Push the button.
It's probably because I'm turning the wrong way. I'm going right and to the left.
What happened?
What the fuck?
You such a ding dong. Dude,
Get the hot
you
brings up, by
ding
the way.
dong. What the fuck?
Move
What'd you
on.
fucking do, bro? Bro's throwing up on me while I'm trying to revive him. Once you got thrown up while he's trying to revive you, resuscitate you, get projectile vomited.
Does mouth to mouth, it just gets puked on.
Oh, dude, it's a Denji moment in Chainsaw Man with that drunk girl with the eye patch who like almost sexually assaulted him while she was drunk.
Are we just in a terrible spot?
Dude, almost sexually assaulted him. It describes all of fucking Chainsaw Man.
Dude, yeah, oh yeah, spoilers. Come on, guys. We don't need spoilers.
Weird as shit,
We didn't need chainsaw. We don't need chainsaw. We don't need spoilers. We need spoilers. Oh, that was a kraken. Did you guys hear that? That was a kraken. That actual noise.
Was it?
Yeah, that background noise you heard. That was the actual kraken.
Bro, you're a kraken.
Bro, you're a crackhead.
Film a kraken.
Whee! Ah! Oh my god.
Who's Film a Kraken?
Hopefully me, am I right?
Am I right, boys? Am I right, boys? What? Bye.
Oh, fuck.
Wow, boarding ship. Ah,
Go
shit.
repair holes.
Sure not.
Hang on, I got it, guys. I'm just a bit tipsy.
Nothing wrong with that.
He's a little bit on the piss.
We're heading straight to an island and I'm not turning anymore.
That's not an island, it's Jeffrey's
Good luck,
island.
guys.
I reckon we just leave the water in here.
I can't walk straight. I had too much grog.
Bro, that was me last week, bro. I was pretty hammered last week. Oh,
Oh,
this
yeah,
one.
I was sloshed after last week's stream, bro.
Bro was literally doing
I
reenactment of
was so
Smosh.
drunk.
Yeah, I was pretty out of it. I remember crying while playing Fortnite Fat Llama because she said a random thing. I started crying. Like happy tears.
Get drunk,
Bro.
call her back.
I made you cry.
Yeah,
during
it was
stream,
nice.
remember?
It was a realization of like how lucky I am to have friends I can meet up with online and meet up with them in person. You know what I think about that? You want to think about that, bro? You want to think about that, bro?
What the fuck?
What the fuck just happened?
What? Why'd you fire in front of the gun? You fired it.
I didn't.
You
I didn't fire
You
it.
did, bro. I can't do that. You can do it while firing a gun. You
I didn't know
fucking
that.
egg.
I didn't know that mermaid head did that.
Mermaid heads do that. Don't blame the mermaids, bro. What do they do to you, bro?
I picked up the mermaid head and I shot it at you. That's it. That's all I did.
That's how projectile works, bro. And you're projecting yourself, bro.
Bro, I'm gonna projectile shit on your face.
I'm not into scat, bro. Can you not get me into your fetish, bro?
He's lying, guys.
Okay.
McDonald's video.
McDonald's bathroom.
Engadine.
We're okay. We're okay. We're okay. Hey, somebody get plank of wood, please, and hammer it down the front, please.
Hey, at least I'm not drunk anymore.
That's good. That's good. Good job, bro. We're proud of you. Thank you for not being drunk.
What's the hole at, bro?
I'm not too
Where the
sure.
pole's at? Oh, we're heading toward a rock.
Hey guys, we got a bit of a hole issue.
Where them holes at?
My man.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Hello?
The fuck is going on?
Bro.
We're sinking.
Your monkey's tweaking out. Gilberry is tweaking out, bro.
Oh, we're sinking.
Clear out the water.
There's a hole somewhere.
Is there? I mean, it's not.
I think there is. I believe there is a hole somewhere.
It's another ship. There's
What?
two little ships.
Wait, what?
Am I right?
Wait, really? Like actual
there's
players?
holes on
Really?
the
Yeah.
second floor.
Oh shit, finally. Found some action.
Guys, repair and then we're gonna go fight.
Are we actually fighting?
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
fight.
We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight them. We're gonna annihilate them.
It's two small ships.
We'll be the sweats. Watch out for
I
the.
think one might be a ghost ship.
Oh!
Who the fuck is steering?
I can't see anything, guys.
Franz, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, I'm gonna die. I just died. Are you kidding me? I just died. I got crushed, bro. I love how we're hyping ourselves up.
Happening?
We're hyping ourselves up to try and take all these boats, and we're sinking ourselves. We're doing that job.
I couldn't see.
That's so funny.
I think one's a skeleton ship and one's normal.
We have to get normal. We need to get normal.
We're getting both.
Whereabouts are they? Player ships are way more satisfying to kill.
Are we repaired?
I think we are.
Yeah,
Where are they?
We might have to be ready to like raise our sails. Tell me when we're straight on, because I don't know where they're actually at.
Where are they?
I'm trying to look out for them too.
Like straight ahead.
We're straight ahead. We just turned 3 or 4 times.
Shit, bro.
I died.
hold on.
I just died.
Gonna go look.
I just died.
How the fuck did you die?
Ligma.
Oh, fuck.
Am I retarded?
Thanks, bro. Yes, you
No,
are.
I'm definitely not.
I'm sorry to
They're
tell you,
behind
bro.
them rocks there. They're behind them rocks on
Dude,
the
they're
right.
planning. They're planning.
Well, get prepared to raise the sails because they're like in the middle, but okay, I'm raising the sail. I can't see genuinely.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
but-
no, I see him.
Raise the middle sail and the raise sail. Someone.
Raise sails.
I can't see a fucking thing.
Yeah, is that better?
Oh yes. Okay.
Easy.
Yeah.
Ooh, Alan's a mouthful of flames.
Shit, that's the name of the game.
Yeah, I see them.
Whoa, what the fuck? What am I hearing?
Where are we going? I thought we were going off to the
I thought
right.
31 players, not actual an event.
No, they're in the rock event or in the rock middle part.
Rock D's Vegas?
Behind this front row.
Really?
Trust. I kept seeing them unless I'm tripping.
Is that not? Maybe I think I see them.
Have you had?
There's a ship. There's a ship over at that island over there.
There's something close to us, bro.
I can hear music too.
What fucking music, bro?
That's event music right now.
Oh, I think I have
Right
music
there.
disabled.
Bro's a fake fan of Sea of Thieves. Turns off the music. That's like the best thing about the game.
Am I?
Where are they, bro?
There.
Dude, it's just hearing
Shut the fuck up!
charcoal. Tell me your fucking TikTok.
Guys, get ready. Load the cannons on the left.
Load the cannons. Load the cannons.
They're all loaded. They're all loaded.
Oh yeah, go. Let's go.
Who the fuck is Captain Drumstick?
Make sure you get your walkie-talkies out too as well to antagonize them.
Oh, I see him.
Get ready for war, man.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier. Welcome back to another episode of Trying to Laugh Challenge.
Shut up, Hook.
I can't really. Can you just put the sail down so I can't see where I am? But you can direct me.
We need more speed.
I know he's gonna have to like direct me. If he's, like moving. No, you can keep it down. Just direct me.
Okay. Turn.
And like make sure they're with wind.
Turn. Oh,
sure.
they're moving.
I know. Everyone's gonna stay on course. Ricebin, hook sniffer, lock in. Make sure all the sails are on course and everything.
On course.
Holy fuck! They just.
What? Wait! Stop turning! There's a rock.
Oh, what is it?
We have a ghost ship.
That ship goes in front of us.
We have a ghost ship, and they just got 2 ghost ships next to them.
Lucky bastards.
Hang on, I was talking a sniper.
Oh, God.
Someone focus on repairing, right?
I can repair. Easy. Ah!
Alright, just keep repairing.
Go ahead. We will eventually run our planks, but we'll see how we go. This is fun. Are we having fun, chat?
I got my sniper.
Oh, I got it.
Good job.
Nice, keep going.
Ah, fuck, too low. Fuck's sake, too low.
Take your time. No rush.
The real ship got anchored. Go
to real ship.
Fuck the real ship. Rogue, get ready. Come to the real ship.
Yep. You guys do whatever you want. I'm prepared.
Oh, you might have just fucked up with hooking. Well, like harpooning. Get rid of the harpoon. We need to like stay behind these 2 other ghost ships while we can fight this other ghost ship.
I was waiting for you to say twat for some reason. I have no idea why.
Fuck, I'm out of anchors.
Ricebin, focus on doing something. I just see you sitting up the front.
And I need a repair.
Okay. Alright, everyone lock in. Holy fuck,
we got cursed. They used cursed cannonballs on us. Oh god, I'm about to die. Charcoal.
Ring code.
Alright. Okay.
I don't know.
Charcoal, can you shush for a second, please?
My bad, kid.
Thank you. I need food. Eyes died. I got killed by from fire.
Oh my god.
They use a cursed cannon on us. Thank you.
Someone help me?
Food.
We need to repair the fucking thing.
Both of them are broken.
We need repairs for upstairs.
Okay.
On my way.
Alright, they're getting away, bro.
Oh no, they're right there. Hard right.
We might smash into the island.
It's worth it. If we could take on normal players and kill them and laugh at them, that's all worth it at the end.
Alright, all cannons loaded.
We have to get away from these ghost ships, but we should be fine.
We can bring them with us.
Nah, I think it was just the area we're in.
The aerial code.
What the fuck? Make sure the flags are in wind.
By the way, I recommend using scatter shot because that shoots like a bunch of cannons in one hit. And we can use that hit on the sails.
This one's not good.
Hook, do something.
I am looking at. Oh yeah, use chain shots, guys, because they're the ones that you can hit on the sails.
Yeah, but you have to hit the sails dead on. Do you have that good aim, Hook?
That's why I'm offering to somebody else to have it. Can someone take it off me?
Alright. Veer left. There's a rock formation coming up. Hang on, I'm gonna climb to the crow's nest.
E. Oh, what the fuck? Where is it? Did I just lose it? I literally lost my cannon. What? Okay, well, I just lost the chain shot. Okay, don't worry. We don't have the chain shot anymore. Cool.
Dude, there's more in the fucking thing.
No, I lost it, though. I tried loading it in and I couldn't find it.
Alright, we're head on for them right now. We're clear of anything else. Veer slightly left.
Hold on, I'm changing the fucking sail.
We can use the horn to blow
The sails are all unable.
True, in case they board us, yeah.
Listen, veer slightly left or we're gonna hit a rock.
No, we're fine.
Yeah, we're good.
That's the border.
I think we're gonna catch this little sloop.
Oh, the horn's up here.
Hello, welcome back, Inky.
Took your time, Inky.
Alright, let's sink these.
Build on the flag.
Squad.
Where?
What?
Build on our flags.
Holes are fine.
Turn left,
There's
left,
no
left,
holes,
left.
no holes, no holes downstairs. No holes.
Wait. Oh my god.
This could help us, actually.
How much left? How much left? Just tell me when to stop.
Much more.
Much more
left. Keep turning.
more. Keep going, keep going. It's good to cut through them as well. Like, you can predict where they're going to go and cut through them and interrupt them. Oh, we're going to go directly in front of them. We're going to go directly in front of them.
I can't see shit. Again, no, I can. Are we?
They're flying an emissary flag, I think.
Oh shit,
Or an alliance
really?
flag.
Uh-oh, that's cringe.
Yeah. Alright, sail veer slightly right. He's trying to lose us in the rocks. Veer right, veer right.
Whee! Oh man. Oh my god, that did nothing.
Hook, was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Don't waste that shit, bro. Wait until we're close and you can actually hit them.
How do I drop this down?
I think I'm on too much right, but I can't see
I'll
something.
drop this. There we go.
Veer left a bit.
Yeah, left.
Veer left. You're gonna hit the rock. Veer left. Veer left.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Veer more right. Hang on. Hook, get on the harpoon. Spin us around this rock with the harpoon.
Yeah. The fuck?
Someone's getting on. Someone's getting on. Someone's getting on.
Wait a minute, someone's getting on.
I saw them in the water. I saw them in the water. I saw them in the. What
Really?
are we doing? Hello?
What? That's what
Why
did.
are we fucking? Oh my
Oh,
god!
there's a guy here.
There's no way we're catching up.
There's a guy here, by the way.
GG.
Wait, where is he? Oh, there he is. He's dead. Nice, good job.
Said it 30 times.
Fucking
hell.
We got him. It's good.
Hook,
What's up?
get on the fucking anchor.
There's
What?
no way we're catching up now. There's no
got it.
fucking way we're catching up.
I need some food afterwards. Num 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 num. At least we killed them.
I've warned you.
We killed one.
Yeah.
Next time I say someone's in the water, just go to a ladder, and you'll see a name tag pop up on one of the ladders, and just kill them.
I'll take a seat here then. I'll look
Because that's
at them.
all they'll do. They'll just.
Alright, we're head on for them.
It's pretty smart, actually.
I'm gonna blow into the sail.
Just Ricebin, sit up there and look for people as well in the water.
I'm gonna change my guns.
Because all they'll do is like jump off the back of their ship and then like swim in the water for a bit.
They'd be very
Since we're directly
sneaky.
behind them.
Whereabouts are they? Do we know where they are now?
They're turning right.
Yeah, they're head on. They're
Oh, there
turning
they are.
right.
Oh, alright.
Pretty hard.
Hard, right?
Very hard. We keep on
They
turning.
were straight on them now.
Look out for players too.
Yeah, but are they still turning right? I can't see anything.
No, they aren't.
Yes, they are.
Are they?
Yeah, they're still turning right. They're still turning right.
Watch out for players. They might have abandoned a ship to make themselves distracted.
Oh, yeah, one of them jumped in the water.
Oh, I thought so.
Watch the ladder.
Will do.
I can't see where the ship is.
Keep turning right. Keep turning right. Oh no, they're turning.
What's the
Watch
ladder?
the ladder.
True.
Am I still turning right?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, green murky waters.
They're on the right. They hit once.
Haha.
He's dead.
Fuck you.
Are they
Change your
still sailing?
sails. Change sails. Change sails.
Any sails?
Direction wind.
Ah, why am I crouched? Bro, I'm stuck being crouched. What? How do I uncrouch? Thank you. Holy shit.
What was the crouch button?
Yeah, I was stuck on crouch.
Little voice changer.
Be careful of the water.
Voice changer.
Oh, we're catching up on them.
Alright, watch out for bladders just in case. I got 5 bombs, by the way, in case we need it.
Guys, I think it's a loner.
It is.
Oh, he's in the water.
Ah, hee.
He's on.
Oh, he was trying to catch. He was trying.
Oh, that's gonna delay him like fuck. Alright, when we go past, someone just jump in and anchor there.
Dash that.
Soon as someone anchors their ship, someone anchor our ship.
Oh, true,
All right,
true.
Yeah,
All right.
get on their hook.
I'm waiting.
Or is that Rice?
That's Rice.
Rice missed it. Alright, someone just jump on.
Oh, easy.
Just jump on.
Yeah, just did it. Where's it? Where's the thing?
Where's the anchor?
Where's the anchor? That's funny as hell.
Wait, just throw, just cannon this shit. Just cannon the fuck out of this shit.
3, 2, 1, go.
Wait, if you can. No, not our shit.
Oh.
Wait, bomb it, firebomb his ship, firebomb his ship.
I have to look for 5 bombs first.
Oh fuck! I need to reload.
Where the 5 bombs at?
Oh fuck!
Where the 5 bombs at? Where the? Huh? Man, small ships are so different. There they are.
He's up the front.
No.
He's on his ship. He's on his ship. He's on his ship. He's on his ship.
Oh, damn it. Hello. What's your name?
Hook. Hook, the guy's coming up on the ship.
Oh, damn it.
On the top.
That's fun. I hit myself. I should start keeping count of how many times you forgot to tag me in posts and shit. What do you mean, Mantis?
Wait, there's 2.
Oh, really? Welcome, Mantis. How are you, bro?
Oh, I'm dead.
That was like a bit ago. I'm sorry, bro. We're very focused on the game, so Mantis.
Nice.
Yeah.
And once we get both, raise our anchor and we got to turn slightly and then we're good. I don't know where
how
I
are you?
Oh, fuck. He's on the...
Go!
Just kill anyone on our ship, quick.
Oh, we're all on fire.
Oh, fuck.
We need water. We need water. Oh, there's fire guys here. Hello. What's your name? I died. Straight away, I died. They're using cluster bombs and then fire bombs on us. Thank you.
Wait, their ship's on fire though.
As long as they can sink our ship, it's their satisfying victory. What are they saying? What are they talking about?
They sound like Kiwis. Yeah, these guys are dead.
What are you trying to say? Bro? They're saying like Kiwis.
Oh yeah, bro.
Are you trying to say something?
Kiora.
Wait, he missed a shot.
Oh, good job.
Get his ass.
Ah, fuck.
Why can't I actually see this cunt at all? Why is it so hard to see this freak in the dark?
They're using certain clothing.
Ah, fuck, I hate him.
Oh, this is so cringe.
Yeah, it's very hard to kill actual players in this game.
Alright, that's it. Keyboard and mouse time.
You were not using keyboard the whole time?
No, I always use controller with CFD, so I can just lean back and relax, you know?
True.
But if I gotta lock in, I gotta
They're gonna
lock
turn
in.
the ship around. They're gonna turn the ship around, apparently. I heard one of them talking to each other. They're gonna turn the ship around.
Don't let them raise their anchor.
Well, we have to try and do something because they keep on killing us. Every time we spawn in.
Yeah, we need to sink their ship, Hook.
Yeah, oh no, we need to like survive after we spawn in because they're spawn killing us.
Yeah, they're both in our ship. I headshot one, I killed one, I killed one.
Good shit.
One step.
Where's the other one?
On their ship. I'm raising our anchor real quick. They're on their ship, bro. Don't let them raise anchor or anything.
Okay.
Raise anchor, Hook.
Yeah. Go. Oh, are they on the ship or? I'm gonna check to see how ships are going. Oh, ship's fine. Cool. No issues. Don't worry. As soon as I say that, we got holes. That's so
oh
funny.
fuck, we're way too close for fine.
That's fine.
Fuck, how I gotta...
We should be fine now. Oh, whoa. Okay, no hole, no hole.
One's on our ship.
Oh, really? Hey, man,
Yes.
how are you?
I hit him. Dead.
Yeah, good shit.
I need more bullets.
Need more
We're
bullets.
leaking water.
Yeah. I'll help out with the repairs. Oh, really? Oh, that's it? Okay, fair.
Are we actually hitting any cannon shots here?
No.
Wait, how'd they get away? Fuck.
No!
Wait, raise anchor now, everyone.
Get on the anchor.
Yeah.
We can't let them fucking...
Go.
We can't let them, like, blow us like this. This is fucking embarrassing.
I know, right?
We're losing to a sloop. Four men losing to 2.
Yeah,
Get on that shit,
This game is very
Where are
sweaty. They're in front of us. They're right in front of us. They're in front of us.
They're turning around. Make sure our wins are proper, man.
We're out of special cannonballs, god damn it.
I thought we were like
It is no
making
problem.
sure they're losing our thing. Interesting. Alright, not much here. I don't much arsenals to really do anything if I do want to board a ship.
Kill them.
I can try talking to them.
Hang on, I can harpoon onto their ship.
Wait. Wait, there might be swimming. There might be swimming. There might be swimming on the ship, so watch out. Might be boarding a ship, maybe. Watch out.
Oh, yeah, he's swimming. It's in the water.
Was that a thing
What
I
side?
saw?
Left side.
There's a guy here.
no.
Just
No, don't let him. Yes, man.
Yes.
Wait, why is he
How is
dropped
he not
anchor?
dying? He's intimidating us.
No, he dropped anchor.
No. Grab it. Easy.
Kill him.
2 people focus on him, and then 2 people raise the anchor. I died. I died.
Where is he?
I don't know.
He's just fucking CSGO jumping us, bro. He's bunny hopping.
How? My ass. What do you say? Speak English.
Where'd the ship go?
No way. His mate was distracting us.
It's around the corner. It's around the corner of this rock.
Which one, left or right?
Right. Fuck, I couldn't harpoon the rock. Hang on. No. Hard right.
Yes, I am.
No holes.
Make sure we're going. Someone find the armory spot for me, because I want to change my gun to a blunderbuss.
It's down the stairs behind it.
Yeah.
bet.
It's where the changing room is. Which is very fitting.
Make sure.
Frawnz, I'll take control. You guys swap your guns.
Wait, I'm lining it up first.
Alright. We only have normal cannonballs right now.
That's going a little straight. So you might want to turn left.
We were friend. We already friend.
Wait, all the way downstairs?
Second floor.
No, just down the...
Yeah.
First stairs.
Behind the stairs. Oh, yeah, there.
They do have ears.
They're on the
Someone's
ship.
on the ship.
They're talking to it. They're taunting us.
Oh, fuck.
That like literally heard his voice so clearly.
Is he up
on the side of the ship?
Yeah, his mermaid's out. His mermaid's out, so we can hear him. What the fuck? Where is he?
I don't know what that noise was.
I heard him right side.
Yeah.
Is he on the balcony?
I think he's hanging. I think he's hanging.
What's supposed to talk about him?
I'm not too sure. I think it's C, I think.
Oh my god, Hook, you scared me.
Oh, sorry, man.
Wait, is he all the way down bottom?
Maybe.
Go
I'm gonna check. Where are you,
Why don't we
buddy?
just...
No, he's not here.
I'm gonna set traps in the ladders.
That's smart.
Yeah.
He could be hiding as a barrel. Take a seat.
Oh,
There are traps on both sides of the ladders. So just be careful.
So far, there's no one's here. No one's here that I can see so far. He might be behind the cabin
I ran
seats.
into it. Fuck, you just told me. Fuck.
No way.
Guys, can one of you turn all
Wait,
the sails
someone's in the
all the way
water.
around?
On the left, on the left, on the left, on the left.
Up trap side.
Trap side.
This side, this side, this side.
Good shit.
Good shit.
No, they were waiting for me.
They're all waiting for him. They're all waiting for him.
We still need to. We need
Yeah,
better
we
wind.
are.
Better wind. Better wind. Better wind. Better wind.
Yeah, we're literally like... They got snipers, by the way. They got snipers, by the
Guys,
way.
better wind. Better wind. They are so far ahead of us.
Yeah, you guys said keeping an eye on ladders.
I'm going to reload my ammo. They're right behind us. 2 of them are sitting there. They're
Who's right behind us?
The guys, they're like literally in the water talking to each other, and one of them said, yeah, they're waiting for us now.
Go to the right a bit. A little bit.
At least we can't hear them anymore.
Alright, go.
Come on, guys.
They're gonna go around the left side of this island.
Wog wog, my brother. Yeah, fuck the shotgun. Use a sniper rifle.
You actually have to hit your shots though, Hook.
Oh, I've hit a few times, yeah. Back on the X-Bone. Ah, light fuse. That is not good. Do you guys know that we have TNT attached to our little tiny tugboat?
Yep.
They could shoot that.
They won't see it.
Okay. If they do, though, that'll be the problem.
A little bit.
They parked that boat, I think.
No, they're still moving.
Okay.
Someone's in the water. I don't know where. The mermaid's out.
Your monkey squeaking out.
Wait, I see them.
Alright,
They're
hang
on
on.
this side.
Hey, good job.
They went up.
Trap the ladders, guys.
Smart, smart, yeah, smart.
They're coming up on the right side, left side.
Traps are out.
This side. They're on there.
Traps.
Yeah, nice.
Got
Good shot. Oh my god, they're complaining. They're
They're
complaining.
going hard right after this island.
They said fucking hell, Jesus. They're like literally pretending that we're the sweaties. That's so fucking funny.
I don't know, Inky, but I appreciate the money that you're giving me by watching the ads.
You have to watch the ads about 4 to 5 times and have to be 1 hour each.
Alright, someone take over. I gotta piss real quick.
Alright, I'll take over.
Ricebin, someone just keep turning right.
Oh shit, guys.
Yay!
Yes, we're in wind.
Yay!
They're not in wind.
Oh my god, that's so funny. What a crybaby.
Wait, keep going.
Yep.
Stuck on straight.
I'm hard on straight. I can't go any more straighter.
Oi.
No, you're going right. Can't go left.
Go left? Okay.
Straight, like straight in the wheel. Go left.
Straight.
Sorry, we're still going right. Oh my god.
It takes a bit to move over. It takes a bit to move over. It's how big the ship is. Their ship has a bit more advantage of maneuver than we do because how small the ship is. Galleons are very hard to steer. Whee! To make sure no one's on the ship either.
Start going straight.
Yep. Yep.
Alright, go right a little bit.
What's the level on emissary? Is that 3?
Straight. That's a level 5.
Oh my god, that's sweaty. That's so tryhards.
Stuck on left.
They we can hear them. Rogue, take over Rogue. They're talking. I can hear them.
Alright, I got it.
I heard their voices. The voices.
Keep going, man. Go left a little bit.
Dude, I've got the wheel all the way to the left.
Oh, you're on this shit.
Harpoon him.
Yeah, I'll try.
Whoa.
Oh, we're getting shot out from the fucking island.
Oh my god, I'll do repairs in case we need it.
Oh my god, I'm trying to hook this fucking thing.
Rice, you on the cannons?
Go left, go. Oh my god.
No holes.
I'm going as hard left as I can.
This kind of only started shooting once you said something.
That's so funny.
Inside, I couldn't turn in front of me.
We're not gonna catch him, guys.
Not off that attitude.
No, Hook, we literally cannot turn fast enough to catch them.
Yeah, that's the issue with galleons. Oh,
Yeah,
I'll do it.
This whole thing.
Probably are.
And we're getting taken out by these fucking cannons.
Well, I have to avoid the cannons first. Avoid the island or the skeletons, and then we'll follow
I'm
them
just gonna
afterwards.
raise one of the fucking sails.
We
might have to get away from this island, to be honest.
That's what I said. I have to get away from the island before we can even focus on the other guys. Oh. Thank you, thank you. Oh, another hole, another hole. Oh, wow, they're actually hitting us pretty accurate. We have now, like, 3 holes now.
I'm gonna cannibals. Fuck them, bro. Fuck this shit. Genuinely.
Oh, no. Yeah, we got any extra planks?
They anchored. They weighed anchor at the island.
Bro, they're taunting us.
Just sit there.
Yeah, they're gonna wait for us. They're
They're
gonna...
just gonna keep doing that. No, they're still gone. They didn't anchor.
Yeah.
You gotta repair the ship. There's still holes.
Yeah, I was getting more planks because I ran out of planks. I think that's everything
There's
here.
another slope on our right.
Is that really? That's so funny.
Yes.
Should we go for another guy?
No. I'm not letting these two fuckers disrespect us like this.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, wait. I need more cannons.
Wait, guys.
What's up?
Oh, fuck.
Is macaroni and cheese called, like, does it have mac at the start because mac is short for macaroni?
Yes,
No,
and
they
also
don't
the inventor of the dish was named. Yeah, the person who named it was named after the inventor. His first name was Mac.
But that doesn't make sense. The thing.
Bro,
It'd be mac and
M-A-C,
cheese.
mac and cheese. It's fucking...
Alright, they're turning
Yeah,
towards us.
They're turning, yeah. Oh my
That
god.
doesn't make sense, Joggle, because then it'll be mac and cheese.
Cheese.
Wait, should we just fucking anchor?
Sure.
Do it.
Alright, try not to shoot because we actually are running out of cannonballs.
We are definitely running out of cannonballs.
Oh, wait, that gave us such a shitty angle. Wait, maybe not.
They're talking. I can hear them talking.
Okay.
They're very close by. Oh. Yep, they're very close to us. Ooh. Are we even getting them at all? We're so far away. We're too far.
Anchor.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. What the fuck? I grabbed the fucking chest in front of the anchor. That's crazy.
Bro.
What's wrong?
Oh, this sucks, man. Fuck this BS shit.
Yeah. I
We're gonna
don't...
find people of worthy size who want to fight back.
I mean... In my experience...
A good way to get loot would probably be that ghost island.
Yeah. In my experience
Does that
of
feel
all
like
the
one
years
more?
of Sea of Thieves on the Xbox, Mullet Brothers, I think we only won about 2 battles out of the many years of us playing this game. That's how bad these people are. They just sit this game all the time. They know exactly how to fire the players. It's very not enjoyable.
Oh, that attitude.
No, like, I'm being serious. Like, these people will sit on this game all day and just, they know exactly how to play it.
People who play the game are good at the game. Fuck.
No, like, to a level
That's
how
crazy.
it's not even, like, impressive. Like, it's just sad.
No, that's just because it's hard to get an understanding of this fucking game's weapon system and the fighting system because it's so weird.
It's
And
very
so
different.
rare to
It is
fight.
pretty out there. It's pretty unique.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so rare to actually fight people and use it.
They're still behind us, by the way. They're
Especially
following
before
us.
just getting
They're following
dominated.
us, by the way.
Yeah, as long
it's fucking gonna be annoying.
as they're head on, they can't shoot us with their cannons.
Not with that attitude.
And we're faster than them.
Hook, shut the fuck up.
My god, man, should have got that.
They're just gonna keep circling that island
But why?
because they're
I reckon we
bitches.
swim back to that blue island. Do you see that?
Louis?
The ghost island over there. If they see us park up at that though, they're probably gonna just come out.
They will definitely. I think they're waiting for us to park our ship to, like, sell something.
Yeah, alright, I'll head for the fortress then.
Team Fortress?
2.
Because if we just keep a really good eye on our surroundings, or someone stays in the boat and watches, then we should be fine.
All we gotta do is just wait for their voices to talk, and that's how we can tell how close they are.
Yeah, they just raised their sail.
What assholes.
So they're anchoring then.
They're probably gonna do that.
At that island.
Whee! Yeah. Woo! Where are they? Not there. Oh no, not there. No.
Should I still head for the fortress?
Yeah.
At this
I
point,
don't think they're gonna.
Yeah.
They're turned all the way around already. So even if we went to go fight them, they'd just put their sail down and be off again. And it'd just be the same shit. I don't get why the cannons aren't shooting us, but on them.
Because that we're closer to that proximity of their how far they can shoot the cannons from us.
Oh, you're a fucking pro, aren't you?
Yeah, I get that.
Look, the knower of all.
I played this game a lot with my little brothers. I think I have like over 100 hours in this game, I'm pretty sure. So I've got a fair idea how this game works.
Someone help me raise the sails, because we have to find the right side of the island, so we have the harpoons in the right spot.
Sounds about right.
Just leave one sail up.
Okay. We don't need it. We have the rowboat.
Whoa, we just got hit.
Yeah, but it's just way easier still even than the rowboat.
Yeah, that's true.
It's no
Raise
holes so
sails.
far.
I said someone help me and no one did shit.
I was checking the holes because I heard explosion. Raise sails? Oh yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
They're up. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's like...
Oh, here it is, here it is, here it is. Anchor.
Anchor.
Turn right, turn left, turn left, turn left. Oh, right. Hard right, if you can. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get it anyway.
We got it.
We might have to raise the back sail and then just go hard. Alright, I'll just... You two start racing anchor.
Okay.
Start racing anchor.
Hook, get on the anchor.
Yep. Whee! Watch out for those guys, by the way, because they could easily be following us.
Yeah.
Oh, surely we're not gonna collab with this shit.
No, we won't. We're good.
Our goal is to get to that entrance, right? That's our goal there, right?
Pretty much. Like
in a position where we can harpoon into the dingo.
Yeah. Turn now and just straighten yourselves up.
Nah, don't straighten up yet. Wait, give me an angle. Keep turning around.
Keep going.
Oh no, that's fine.
Keep going.
No, that's fine as it is. Go straight. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think it comes out past that gateway.
Oh.
Let's go ghost hunting.
Alright. I'll stay with the ship.
Alright. Give us a call out if you see anything.
Yep. I'll go get my guns.
You got this, bro. You got this, bro. Imagine if they're on this actual area too. That'd be crazy. If they just like guess we're gonna come here. So we need to take down a captain, don't we?
Yeah, and there's also gold pouches and stuff in lockers.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll focus on find the key first to the main treasure hoard at the bottom of the actual area. There's ammo, by the way.
I'm gonna climb up to the crow's nest.
Yes, please.
Well, I'm throwing it.
They might like try to flank us or some bullshit.
They are definitely going to try and do it. If they see our ship, they will definitely.
Kill all the ghosts you see, Ricebin.
Well, I haven't seen any.
Well, you can't because they're ghosts. They're see-through. Do we have to activate the captain to come through?
Just keep killing ghosts.
Bet.
I think they're gone. They're not at the island anymore.
Just keep an eye for it just in case.
I can't see them anywhere.
I'll make sure they're not like flanking us in the opposite island. No.
Yeah.
Should we take
eyes all
barrels?
around us?
Oh, you actually did. I don't know where they went. Like, what direction even.
Very concerning. We have gunpowder barrel, by the way. My little brothers used to do a thing how they used to grab gunpowder barrels and place them on the actual guy's ship and kill themselves in front of them so they could spawn back in.
I found their fortress storeroom key.
Oh, fuck yeah. Whereabouts are they? Where are these guys? Where are these guys?
I honestly think that's that saloon is gone. The sloop.
I mean, at least they're gone, but it's just nice to know where they went, though. That's fine, though. I had to pull this up. What the fuck? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, if you bring ghosts outside, I can shoot them as well.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Got my sniper out.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, chest of the ground. I forgot what the hole down here was. Where are the secret entrance holes? Did they get covered up?
I don't think so.
No.
Where's the one at the top? The one at the top's not there
I found an empty chest in case we find jewels.
There's no, there used to be one on every floor unless I'm thinking of a different fortress.
No, actually, this is the same place that does little secret areas. I found, guys, by the way. Oh, you found one. You found one, Fawnz.
That's what I'm saying. Just kill zombies, man.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say. This makes it a bit hard because I don't have a sword. I probably should get a sword, to be honest.
It says better with a gun.
Alright, true. Yeah, fuck you. Take that. Ghost guns.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Reloading ammo. Oh, there's rounds. Okay, we have to keep on killing.
Yeah, it's waves.
Thought so. It's like Call of Duty Black Ops 3 zombies.
Oh, because I didn't fucking say that.
So far, nothing.
God, I cannot shoot this sniper at all. Jesus.
Oh.
There we go.
Do we place all the chests over here? Oh, what the fuck? Oh my god.
Who's moving all the shit?
I'm not. Ah.
Ricebin.
What?
Where are the chests going?
What? I moved them near the thing.
No, I leave them where I'm putting them because we put them near the door.
There's a balcony.
Where are you
down,
putting
move them?
I was putting them near the harpoon.
No, because come down here. I'll show you. Just put it all on this thing because at the very end, this door will open and that's the treasure room.
And we can move them.
You can put everything on this and then open that gate and then move this and it will go outside that gate.
Makes it a lot easier for us to access.
That's why it came to this gate.
Yeah.
Alright, kill these bitches.
Oh. Bam.
You reckon it's safe to me to come on the island?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, after a bit. Yeah, come on. Enjoy the fun, bro.
I don't think they're coming back. I think we're safe.
Alright, cool. Just keep
Well,
if we're
we can
outside,
always
have a
look
look
on the
around.
island,
Yeah, I was gonna say if anybody goes outside for a quick moment, just have a look around just in case. Have a scope around. This is like the third wave, right? Or the second wave?
Third.
Okay, I bet. When did it normally come out, the main captain?
Third.
Okay.
I don't know, probably this round or the next.
True.
I think it's this round.
Bets.
Bro, where are they?
Oh, you okay, Russ?
Nope.
Need help?
No.
Yes.
Come to Russ, guys. Come to Russ, guys. He needs help. Hey, Kayla, how are you?
I got a firework crate.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. How you going, Kayla? Ah! Fucking asshole. No! Ah! What?
Sorry, Rose.
The fuck? Where'd he go?
He died.
He didn't resurrect him, you asshole.
I couldn't make it in time.
I'm good, Kayla. I'm not sure where Elle went because Elle was meant to play games with me after we played Sea of Thieves, but she hasn't shown up yet.
She couldn't in the fucking general chat, right?
I didn't even see that before. My bad.
Yeah, it is your bad, Hook.
Elle said in chat she couldn't. Oh, I bet. My bad.
Should be this one.
Le Bouchignon.
Just a wave.
Ah!
Damn, that sucks.
What?
Anyway, bye.
What? Oh, ow. Oh. Hell, yeah. There.
Oh, yeah. How?
Ah.
Bird.
Gotcha.
It's in me.
That's alright.
Thank you, I cannot see it.
All good, bro. Got your back, bro.
Dust.
If you need anything, any fruit, anybody? You want mango?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, all good, bro. All good, bro. All good, bro.
Bro, where are they?
Where
are the ghosts?
They're downstairs probably, because we did the first 2 levels. They appear in different levels.
Right, they ain't anywhere to be seen. Where is this damn captain?
Captain. I told you guys. Nice. Oh! Sniper! Quick scope! Ah! Fuck you. Oh, whoa! He packs a punch, boys. Nice. Where is he? Oh, there he is. We're just firing everything at this guy. This is so unfair for this guy. I feel so sorry for him. Is this how he died originally? By a bunch of people just firing guns at him?
Yeah. That's how he was killed. Just getting absolutely unloaded into.
Gangbanged. Oh my god, bro. We should get the chests first before collecting coins.
It doesn't matter. There's no time limit.
Ah, says you.
Yeah, I just said that.
Bounceable skulls. As we're taking these out, by the way, make sure we check out size in case. You never know who might be watching us.
Shut up, Hook.
It'd be funny if they do show up and jump us.
I've seen that happen. It's not fun.
Fuck.
Or sitting on the seat.
But I couldn't get it.
Taking a rest out of your froms.
Take what? I don't know.
Everything? I hate that all this gold is here, but we can't take it. That's dumb.
Edged.
A bad game cannot take the gold from the back corner. 0 out of 10.
Yeah, they're
straight up.
There's a ghost ship. There's not the players though. It's the only ship I found so far.
Again? Oh, that's that.
Lifting up the thing.
I got it.
Cool.
I got it. Doesn't do it.
What are you trying to do?
No, you're supposed to do this.
Well, are you raising the thing up?
No, I already lowered it.
Yeah, it's already lowered down.
Oh, what?
Yeah, when you get...
What was I doing then?
You're lowering it down.
No, the thing I was doing.
I don't know. You tell me.
Yours should be... This one should move it forward and back.
Oh, I'm doing the fucking... Oh, okay.
Yes. All right, we should be good.
It might not be proper lined up.
No, it's not. We should get the rowboat.
No. We just need to go forward a little bit.
Shot not doing it.
Shot not doing it. We just need to raise anchor.
I'll do it.
Someone harpoon me.
BRB.
Where are you, my child?
Pick me up, thank you.
Pick me up inside.
Uppies.
Oh, raising anchors or? Oh, we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Logan Paul walks off his own podcast after a guest brings up the Japan scandal.
Whoa.
What?
The suicide forest thing he did, and he decided to make a fucking hissy fit.
Hanging right there.
Turn left.
Yeah, turn left.
That sun is so bright, Jesus Christ.
That's what suns do, bro. They be bright.
You can tell. Nice reference. You can tell that it's daytime by the subtle glare effect.
When doctors ask me saying if I'm allergic to anything, the only thing I say is when I look at the sun, I sneeze.
Achoo.
Yeah, and they tell me to be put down.
All right. Are we good?
Yes.
Anchor.
Yes. Yay!
Make sure we're going straight.
Yo,
spamming that shit, bro. Nice, bro.
Let's go. All right.
If we had an emissary level up, we could get more money out of these items.
Did I say raise anchor? Everyone sit there and do fucking nothing.
What do you mean?
Guys, I found the ship. It's at Reaper's hideout.
Are you being serious? Oh, yeah, look at the map because they had... Oh, they're doing their own thing. They were doing their own thing. True, true.
Alright, off to Daggertooth Outpost we go, guys.
Avoid those guys. Now we know where they are, which is good. We just need to avoid where they are.
We should go sell.
What?
We should go sell.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I thought you were going to say we should go kill them. I'm like, what? Remember what happened last time?
Alright. All sails to the left, guys.
Left?
Sails down as well.
I'm checking something. Hold on.
Heard the word spam when you were summoned? Yes. You're my mod. You should be attentive, Inky.
Attention.
I move them forward, Hook.
What? Is that what we're doing?
I move them. Look where the wind is. Look where the wind's going. In the sky,
Yeah.
like the white strips.
Oh, what direction do we put them in?
You're moving it opposite. Like, look where the wind's going.
Ah.
Because it starts from this way and it's traveling back into it, so you move it so it's like just out of the way.
You're drawing Soundwave? Hell yeah.
Oh.
You gonna post it on Instagram? Get Bailey to put it in the Discord or something.
Oh,
fuck, I'm tired.
I'm gonna be real. I might actually head off a...
Bro, not yet. We gotta sell. We gotta sell.
Let's sell and
I'm getting...
You are not going anywhere.
I'm getting off at... I'm getting up at 4
You are
a.m.
not going anywhere.
Yeah, we'll be done in like
40 minutes.
10 more minutes.
Getting up at 4... Why the fuck are you staying awake till now if you have to get up at 4 a.m.?
I didn't know how long we'll be doing this for. I thought I was gonna be playing
We'll be
another
done-
game.
We'll be done in less than 10 minutes, bro.
That
It's Sea of Thieves, bro. Oh my god. Guys, Hook is throwing.
I thought I was gonna
Lucas
play a
throwing
game with like Kayla or Al. I thought I was playing another game. I don't know. That's weird.
Hey, yo.
How far away are we from the last place area?
Yourself now. Your whole
The selling area is like a few minutes in.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Do we still have the air horn?
I wish we do.
No, right now.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, I need to blow into it more.
Hook, it's that island right there.
Yeah, yeah, that's all good.
Oh, my arse hurts. Can't.
Your swamp pants? Yeah, same, bro.
Nah, I've just been sitting down all day.
That's swamp pants.
Yeah, it
been
doesn't
like
make my ass
4
sweaty. That sounds gross.
No, that's what it means. You're sweating so much, your pants become sweaty like swamps. And
It just
No,
means
my
it's
arse
clots
Bro, that's
in his
nasty.
leg. He's got blood clots in his leg.
It just means he's about to have a severe heart attack and he may die.
Do you
So
smell
right.
toast?
A little bit.
Do you smell burnt toast? Does your left side feel tingly?
Oh, a tingly feeling.
How do you notice?
Boy, do
How you
I
know
have
this
news for you,
information?
buddy.
This was fun. I had a great time.
It always sounds like you're convincing yourself when you say it like that.
No, actually,
'Cause he is.
I actually had a good time. Actually, I couldn't believe I did a puzzle by myself.
I'm so
That was
glad
sick.
I didn't play Overwatch tonight.
That was fun.
Deal Diary. Today I played Sea of Thieves and it was quite fun.
Dude, why is it so accurate how I sound? That's actually so impressive.
Diary entry number 32. Still no Huns on Sea of Thieves.
I'm very happy with how I completed a puzzle conquest star by myself. That was really cool. I was very happy with that.
Page 34, I completed a puzzle.
It was good. My very first puzzle in 32 years.
Damn, so
me.
ever.
Yeah, ever, yeah. Plovers. Kill them. Plovers.
Page 35. Why do I feel like my friends hate me?
Page
Go left.
36. I saw a pigeon today.
I saw a pigeon in the wilderness.
I ate it. It tastes like chicken.
In the wilderness.
Go left.
Go left. Weft.
End of entry.
Oh wait, the dock's on that side, I think. Page 67.
I'm giving them a
I feel
warning
like going to
shot.
Japan. I'm gonna go to Japan.
Guys, keep the body hang over
There
there.
we go. Easy.
Alright, I'm gonna.
Oh, we got straight into the rocks.
Are you kidding me?
Go right a little bit. Go right.
Bro, I'm trying to park it.
Look at this. Look at this camera shot I'm looking at right here.
I'm angry.
No, we gotta line. I never said anchor con.
No one said anchor.
Yeah, but look where we are.
Park to the shitty area.
Guys. Nah, fuck it. Fuck
said
this.
the job.
Fuck this. Nah, leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it.
No, I'm pulling it up.
Nah, bro. It's the captain, bro. Nah, let's do this. Let's do this.
No, it's okay, man.
Let's do this trip together. No, we're doing this trip together. Get your loot and run
It's
down
okay.
here.
It's okay, guys. It's okay, guys. It's fine. Hello. So close. Thank you. Now let's get loot. Oh, obsidian.
Pretty bad spot.
Yeah, who parked here? The fuck? Who parked here?
Oh, I'm stuck.
What was shitty car park?
I thought the anchor was up.
No one said the anchor. No one said anything about the anchor.
You just fucking do whatever you're told. He tells you to drop the anchor. I tell you to stop doing it.
They each 40. I'm going to kill myself.
Fucking audio.
I have no friends anymore. I'm going to end though.
The audio is crazy. That's how you can tell Rogue's audio gets up because we can hear ourselves.
Oh shit.
Dot. The Descendants.
I've got my earplugs plugged into my Xbox controller.
Anchor.
What?
Anchor.
What? Who raised the anchor? Who raised the anchor? Who raised the anchor?
Fucking hell, we're gone. We're nowhere near it.
No way. Why'd you guys leave? Why'd you guys leave?
This can't.
Why don't you go to the anchor?
I want to go to bed, guys.
I was harpooning and turning us.
I want to go to bed.
My chat to fucking Zom.
Alright, lift the anchor, lift the anchor.
You'd rather type to Zom in my chat than fucking put the anchor down.
What a
whore.
Wait, Zom's in your chat, not in mine? This is bullshit.
Where is the guy?
Zom, get in my chat.
Where is
my
that?
first view in 3 hours taken.
Nice. Good job. We're very proud of you, bro. Ah, what the fuck? Oh.
Yeah, anchor.
So, how much we get from that one chest? That was not worth the whole hassle. Fuck that. Holy shit. That was not worth it.
Oh my god.
Whoa, good job.
Guys, I'm in the chat.
Oh, hello.
Zom's in my chat. Yippee! Yippee!
Yippee! There you go. Hey, a gem. I don't know what this does. Where's Kyogre? Fuck. Ashes of the... Damn it!
Wait, where's the soul bitch?
Which one? 1, 2, or 3?
Who do I sell the skulls to?
The soul
He's
bitch.
up on like the balcony part.
I found it.
Yeah. On House on Horror Hill.
Holy shit! Rice just gifted a sub to Zom.
Oh, good job. Thank you, Rice.
Thank you for the gifted subs, Rice.
Yeah, I just used my Twitch payout that I'm not gonna get.
Lol.
Almost there, almost there.
Kind soul Ricebin.
Very nice. We appreciate you, bro. Whee! There you go.
I'm not even sounds.
You got a thank you, brother, from...
What the fuck is this?
Zom.
I saw.
Pick up smashed coral fated rum. Who we sell that to? Oh, what the fuck?
Smugglers.
Oh. The aristocrats.
Shut up, bro.
Okay, who we sell this to? No.
Sell to the gold hoard.
No. What?
You can't sell that. That's a bandit thing.
Ah, I'm dropping it down. Fuck that.
Yeah, we're not gonna sell any of that today.
Did we all have a good time tonight, everybody?
Yeah, it was a good stream, except for the fact we couldn't sink that fucking sloon.
Who cares? Honestly, the way I feel about other players in this game, do not bother versing other players.
Fuck them bitches.
You finished another assignment?
Let me sell it. I went to it and it just said can't sell.
The gold hoarders.
Yeah, we can't. There's no one to
The
sell
guy
around
with
here.
10.
Yeah,
Bro, Zom's doing assignments.
Someone said no.
It's your last work placement day.
Piss off and take my shit somewhere else.
Literally, that's what I said.
Zom said she's gonna miss little kids. Fucking pedo.
What? Don't say that.
Why? Oh, it's here. Is it?
Real question, guys. How much
do I
currency do we have of the skull with the coin?
So like little kids,
That's
guys.
the real currency in this game. That's the real
I don't know
currency.
where to take this. Somewhere else. Someone else do it.
Down there. Oh, it's a gold hoarder.
Inky, Zom is also a miner.
Icky is a predator, confirmed.
4 months left. Still 3 months.
I like how you know exactly how long it's going to be. I like how you know that.
What? And my bad for remembering a friend.
Zom, don't be saying that shit.
Just be very careful with what
Motherfucker
you
said
say.
I'm almost 18.
Don't get rid of that. Get rid of that.
That's
bro.
what Zom said.
You just ban them. Just ban them, bro. Saves your ass anyway.
She wants to go to a casino.
Zom, are you gonna get shit faced? Are you going to a casino and forget your ID?
She's gonna
Be so careful, guys.
Oh, you're not going to be let in because you're not wearing the right
But
clothing.
remember, if you go back
Guys.
to the you have to get every single form of ID openly.
No, these guys
Guys,
are chill, man.
they're back. They're back.
These guys to our left.
They're back.
Yeah, we're done. I don't care. I'm not fucking.
I'm
playing
gonna
this
shoot
anymore.
them.
That's so-
I'm gonna shoot them.
Fucking get.
I'm
Zom
gonna
wants me to take her to the fucking casino when she turns 18.
brag about
Alright, don't you dare forget your ID though.
For Supernova, on the April Supernova, Gold Coast. We're going to that one.
Talk shit, bro.
Is that the same guy?
Yeah, it is.
No, it's someone else.
Same guy. Same guy. Shoot them. Shoot them. Shoot them. Shoot them.
It's a different shit.
Same guy. Shoot. Shoot.
When I got the non-binary flag.
Maybe you have to shoot them down then.
Sailor smuggler spoiler completed. Fuck yeah.
We done.
Is that them? No, that's someone else.
Yeah.
We done.
I'm going. Goodbye. Have a good one, boys.
Goodbye, Hawk.
That was so fun. Oh, good shot, bro. Holy shit. Good job. Nice shot.
I hit him a couple times.
Bro, I wanted to raid into you, bro, but you're not even here. You're such a fuckwit.
What do you mean, bro?
Go to my chat real quick.
I can't.
Okay, I'm trying to raid off. I'm trying to raid off to you, bro. How long are you streaming for, Fawnz? You gonna play Overwatch after this?
No, I'm done.
Okay, Rogue, where are you?
They going.
I'm not thinking, man. How about
Right
yourself?
here, bro. I'm not going anywhere.
No. Type in my chat so I can raid to you, bro.
Oh, okay.
You
Jesus.
fucking ding dong.
Fuck. Give me a second, dog.
All right, one. Are you here? I'll write to Inky. I'll write to Inky if I have to.
Per Inky anyways.
Main account back.
Alright.
Get your main account back so I can resub there.
I think he can. I think he can.
Oh fuck.
There, I typed in your chat, bro.
Dude, that's so true.
I still need a different number.
Alright.
All right, that was fun, everybody. Wait, invalid name? What? What do you mean invalid name? Excuse me?
That's my name, bro.
Squeeze me.
That is fucking Donkey Kong's vagina. That's better.
Dude, you can fucking...
Did it?
It shouldn't be that hard to raid me, bro.
No, I just did. It's fine.
Okay.
Judge Binks.
Alright.
That was fun. That was fun.
Take it to the casinos on the star.
What did I say? What?
Excuse
me. Judge Binks says that, bro.
And after the Star Casino, we get her absolutely baked.
Maybe not. This maybe pace it.
We're
Maybe
baking a cake.
maybe pace it.
Yeah, bro.
Maybe
We can say we're baking a cake.
we'll do one night at a
Yeah,
time.
we're
One
gonna
night
bake a
casino.
cake, bro.
The next night baking. All right. We'll do one night at a time. I feel
No, casino and then bake a cake.
Yeah.
they'll be exhausted and they might fuck around when they
Dude,
first.
that we literally did that on Friday. Fuck you mean?
You're not turning
It was great.
18,
It was so
bro. You're fucking way older, bro. And you have alcohol experience too as well. Bye-bye,
Wait, I didn't
Kayla.
even drink, dude.
No,
I didn't even drink any alcohol on
I'm
Friday.
comparing it to you and Zom, bro.
We both had a beer.
Zom never drank at all.
All right, are we done? Are we done here?
Bye-bye, bye-bye. I'm writing off to...
We're done here.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. Hardy, naughty horses. Hardy.